Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, liberty-loving patriots. Welcome to the Lucid Libertarian with Lorianne show. Please be sure to tune in Sunday nights from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, to discuss current events, news, and political opinion with Lucid Libertarian flair. Be prepared, folks. We often go into an optional extended third hour. This show advocates for liberty, freedom, our Constitution, Bill of Rights, and limited government, while speaking against corporate and government corruption, tyranny, and the globalist Great Reset agenda that undermines our precious American sovereignty. Discussions here are unscripted and free-flowing, so sometimes conversations wander off in unpredictable directions. Would you like to call in and share your thoughts and be part of the conversation? The number is 563-999-3698. Again, that is 563-999-3698. Press number 1 and you'll be added to the queue. Please also like and follow my Lucid Libertarian with Lorianne page on Facebook. You can help me battle their freedom-loathing censorship by visiting my page regularly, along with reacting, commenting, and sharing my posts. Thank you so much for listening, but please sit tight and don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a few minutes to kick off the show. All right, you are tuned in to the Lucid Libertarian with Lorianne show part 2. Because of Blog Talk Radio cutting us off, I'm a little irritated right now, so I'm going to play a little song dedicated to Blog Talk Radio right now. Stand by. I thought that might be an appropriate song to play as everybody is funneling back in here to part 2 of the Lucid Libertarian with Lorianne show. Looks like we have a number of people making their way back in, which is great to see. So, yeah, Blog Talk Radio was screwing up our audio. Everybody getting choppy. Those of you in the chat room, and Valerie, she's back. Am I sounding okay now? Do I sound choppy, or am I sounding clear? Anybody in the chat room want to speak up? We got the Alaskan joining in the chat room. Awesome. So yeah, we are in a round 2. Everybody press 1 to raise your hand if you're on the switchboard, and I'll bring you in. I know we had to do this show kind of on the fly. Oh, good. Mike in the chat room says I'm sounding good. Okay. Deal. Maybe a fresh start. Who knows? Maybe there's a difference with when you have a show like pre-set up for several days. Maybe like Blog Talk knows, like, okay, they've set the show up. We have like 3 days to plan to mess with it. But then when you do it on the fly, maybe we'll have better luck because they're all, sleeping and in their little, pods, their little AI robot pods or something. Catching them off guard, I don't know. So yeah, I'm kind of even forgetting what the heck we were talking about before everything went down. Montana Joe, that's right. We were complimenting Valerie. And apparently Blog Talk Radio didn't like that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Randy back on into the fold here. He's raising his hand. Randy from Montana now, but formerly from Oregon. He was smart enough to get the hell out of here.
You got that right.
Oregon's going down. You didn't want to go down with the ship. You went into a bigger, better, stronger ship there in Montana.
Well, I live in a small town 45 miles southeast of Billings, and a lot of history where I'm at. Custer's Last Stand is 15 miles from me. We're right next to the Crow Nation. A lot of history. Yeah. And then we have a lot of natives that are intoxicated and right around up scalps every so often.
I kind of envy you in some ways, but I don't envy the winters there, man. Like, that's my one hesitation, because I left Minnesota for a reason, but Montana winters are pretty brutal there, too, though. You know?
No, it's totally different. It's a dry coldness. All you got to do is put another layer of clothes on, unless you get wet. But it's a totally different coldness. Like Oregon, Minnesota, where you got a lot of water, moisture, that's goes to the bones. It was 21 below last winter, and it didn't bother me a bit. It's just a dry coldness.
Well, see, Minnesota gets like that too, though. I mean, it gets so cold that you literally can't have moisture in the air because it's that cold. You know, when you get 10 below, 20 below, it's a dry cold.
Well, we had
still,
wind chill factor
I
-40.
can't deal with that crap.
Yeah. No, we had a wind chill factor below -40 last year. It was nothing. Long as you don't take a deep breath in, you won't freeze your lungs. But but yeah, it's thermals is all you need, and you're fine. I love it. In fact, last Christmas I worked
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I have such an aversion to the cold now. I just don't think I could climatize back to it again. You know, I mean, when it gets so cold that the snot freezes your nostrils together, I mean, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And I'm going to bring in Joe Gibson raising his hand. Bring him back into the fold here.
Lori,
Robert, CNN.
It's cold. It's wet all the time. You're getting chilled.
Well, I know about those Montana weathers because I was born in Butte, Montana, and lived in Dillon for a while.
6 hours away from me.
Is everybody on board from that was over on the other show?
I know I am.
Anyone that counts.
Yeah.
Anyone that counts. There is a Skype number. I don't know if it's Sarge or not. Probably is, but hasn't raised his hand yet. We've got people coming back in. We got Gunslinger hasn't raised his hand. Mike hasn't raised his hand. Robert Egner, local Oregonian, he hasn't raised his hand yet. Cinnamon.
I'm broadcasting you on Facebook right now, live.
Uh-oh. I guess we better behave ourselves. Okay, now Mike just raised his hand, so I'm bringing him on into the fold.
There we go.
Okay, Egner rose his hand, bringing you on in. We're bringing the gang back in to continue whatever crazy conversation we're going to end up having after the end of the break. Welcome on back in, everybody.
And I'm here, too. I'm just sitting back listening for now.
Waiting for an opening?
No. Nope. I'm good.
And Lorianne, when you first started, you were talking about languages and whatever, and my whole intake about that is, as long as you respect each other you could disagree or excuse me, agree to disagree, but respect each other. That's all you got to do.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not one to, like, I don't, I am usually one that tries to be open. Like, if you're being civil with me, I'll be civil with you. We can disagree. That's fine. I have a very low tolerance for people just getting ugly with each other. There's really nothing good that comes out of it. You just end up in your own kind of bubble. And I've learned a lot from people, my background, when I was young and dumb and stupid, I used to be a Democrat. And then 9/11 happened. Then 9/11 happened, and I gradually started to get wised up to the cabal and how corrupt our government is and the manipulation. And then pretty soon I started to get more and more libertarian leaning, although I didn't really know it until Ron Paul came along. And then I became a big-time Ron Paul supporter. And then I was kind of more centrist libertarian. Like, you take all those, those, like, political alignment quizzes, that can get pretty, the I side with, and you get pretty intricate. And I was always very centrist libertarian. And even since then, I've started to lean more and more conservative, especially since COVID came along. It's like, the COVID tyranny really made me get even more conservative. And I mean conservative not in the GOP sense, but conservative in, like, get back to our fundamental principles, just even more. And so I've been leaning a little more conservative more and more over time. So, yeah, and I'm 50 years old now, so I'm still growing up. But none of that would have happened if I wasn't open to conversations. And I still, I have liberal friends. I have some friends that'll still vote for Biden, no matter how hard I try to talk sense to them, and it's frustrating.
What kind of trip are they on? When you talk about Biden, look at your own pocketbook, man, and vote from there, because there's no good coming from him.
Gonna bring on Boyd here. Looks like we got Boyd, the Alaskan. If there's anybody that knows about cold weather more than myself being from Minnesota and you being in Montana, pretty sure it would be Boyd up there in Alaska. Boyd, you know all about your nostrils freezing together, right?
Never had them freeze together, unless they were full of snot.
Yeah, that's the only way. I was in Alaska about 6 years ago, working, and I was at the Diamond Hill Mall in Anchorage, and all I saw was 2 inches of snow. I thought it'd be cold, and it wasn't bad. I came from a hotel. I had to walk 100 yards to the mall and go to work, and it was nothing.
Well,
I saw sunlight from 10 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was dark again.
Well, in about another, 40 days, it'll get light at about 11:30, and the sun will be down by about 3:30. But cold is a relative thing. I tell you what, I can do 60 below a whole hell of a lot better than I can do 30 degrees.
Yeah, the colder it gets, the less you feel it, really, because it's just downright cold.
Well, not only
20
that,
degrees in Oregon is a completely different kind of cold than it is in Alaska.
Yeah, well, there's too much humidity in the air.
Yeah.
It's not the temperature, it's the humidity.
Yeah.
Well, I
Well, yeah,
did a
and
lot
then
of my
being rained
younger.
on, when it's like 33 degrees and downpour rain and you're soaked, to your, it penetrates you, and windy. Because there's no blocking it.
It doesn't even have to be rainy. I mean, just having that moist cold in Oregon when it's like 20, 30 degrees, it just saturates you, and it doesn't. You can't hide from it. It doesn't even matter if it's raining. It just chills you to your bone, and you're just fucked. There's just no hiding.
I think the coldest that I've ever felt was when I lived in Gunnison, Colorado. One winter it got down to 55 below zero, and it was absolutely dead calm, so there was no wind chill or anything. It was 55 below zero, and that's the coldest I've ever felt. Well, as long as there's no wind, it ain't that bad. Nope.
I've been outside when it's been well below zero. I mean, 40, 50, 60 below zero. Not a cloud in the sky. The sun is shining, and it's snowing.
Feel no warmth.
And it's snowing. It's ringing what little moisture is in the air is falling out of the sky as snowdrops.
Mm-hmm. Well, we used to. It gets so cold in Gunnison that. Yeah, it gets so cold in Gunnison that you go outside with the sun shining and you see the frost floating in the air.
Yeah, ice fog.
Yeah, the sun doesn't warm you. That's how Minnesota was. But that's why I moved. It was a blizzard. It went from 40 degrees that day, so I was, wearing like a light jacket and, ankle boots with thin socks, And by that night, it dropped to 20 below and huge blizzard and 30-mile-an-hour winds, and so the wind chill was 60 below by that night, and I got caught in the middle of that, and that's when I vowed. That was January of 96, and I vowed I would never spend another winter in Minnesota ever again. I was cursing Minnesota. I'm like, fuck this state. I'm getting out of here. I am never dealing with this again. No freaking way. I had gotten my first new car, and I got caught in that storm because, like I said, it was blizzard and the sun temperature dropped, and I was about 20 miles away from home, and I swung by it to the apartments of a friend of mine to wait it out. And you know how in the driveways the sewer, kind of dips into the sewer for the drainage, But when I drove in, the ice was flat. And so I'm pulling in, and my brand new car, only 6 months old, goes kerplunk into about 1.5 feet of ice water. And so I have to get out, and again, I'm wearing only little ankle boots, and I go in, and then, of course, the tow trucks were super busy, and so I had to wait hours for a tow truck to help lift it out. And by that time, it had gotten even colder, and, of course, everything had frozen around it. So I got to sit by and watch, freezing my ass off, watching my new car get ripped out of the ice. The brake lines got frozen. The wheels got scratched. The underside got scratched from getting it pulled out of the ice, and then they had to tow it somewhere to thaw out, before they could work on it. And I remember calling my boyfriend at the time, and I was just like, there's no fucking way. No fucking way can I ever live in this again, ever, I'm never doing this again. And sure enough, I moved September of 1996. I moved. from Minnesota out here to Oregon.
So how many
No
liberties
way.
and rights have you lost since 1996, compared to Minnesota and Oregon?
Well, Minnesota's pretty on par with Oregon when it comes to stuff. My previous town is overrun now with mostly Muslim population in the area. Because that's where you have the one
Ventura the governor?
Congresswoman
Ventura
Omar.
was the governor? Was Ventura the governor when you were out there?
Not when I was out there, no. I think he came a little later. Can't remember his years of office, but he wasn't governor at the time when I moved.
I was going to say, I think Ventura would have taken over somewhere around like 6 or 8 years after you left, right? Something like that.
Why you pick Oregon?
Yeah.
I can't believe that you left there looking for better weather and you came to Oregon. What was your mindset there? Why didn't you go to like fucking Florida or Texas or something? Like I don't understand. I don't understand where you were going.
Because I don't know.
How did you manage to try to reclaim your weather fortitude and choose Oregon? What the fuck?
Because Oregon is pretty like middle ground. It's not too hot, not too cold for the most part. Like I had been to Arizona,
but our winters are still
lived in Tucson,
I mean, what the fuck?
and I went there in July, and there's no fucking way in hell I could live down there either. It's like, okay, I am not, I went down there toward the end of July when it was 110 degrees, and then monsoon season started. So not only was it 110 degrees, but it was also humid. And I was like, no fucking way can I deal with this either. Oregon is like, okay, it doesn't get 30 degrees below zero, and it doesn't get, usually 110 very often. But that's obviously changed the last few years.
Well, it really all depends, too, on which side of the state you're on, too. Because Oregon can get cold on the east side.
Well, she's
we got 5 different climates here. So we got rainforest to the west, and then we got the valley, and then we got the desert to the east and south. And so, what's your pleasure? If I wanted to move to a more desert location where it's hot in the summer, but still get some snow in the winter, then I would move about, 2.5 hours east of here. Maybe 3, and perfect.
Well, Lori, check the chat room. I put in a very funny clip about exactly what we're talking about with the weather and dealing with the weather and stuff like that. Into the chat room. It's about
I'll pull it up and maybe I'll even play it. Hold on just a second. I'm pulling it up. And I can download it, upload it.
This guy is hilarious.
Yeah,
okay, I'm going to trust your word on it. I'm going to download it and upload it and play it. So I'm going to trust you. But it's only 3 minutes, so it's not like we're going to put everybody to sleep for, forever.
And 17 seconds.
17 seconds. That's all it takes, huh? 17 seconds, that's it.
I just can't.
17 seconds.
Audio clip.
I just can't believe that all you guys love your schizophrenic winters down there. What's wrong with you guys?
Well, that's why I moved.
Christ, you never know what the weather's going to do. I spent last year in Texas, and every morning I got up, it was, well, do I put on shorts? Do I put on long pants? Or what?
Welcome to Texas.
Well, you get the same thing here in
Oregon
Louisiana.
coast too. Like if you go to the Oregon coast, you got to pack for everything. you got to pack for, nice and sunny and warm tank top and shorts during the day. And then if you're going to stick around in the evening, then you need your sweatpants and your sweatshirt and your coat.
Rain jacket.
Look, you get the same thing. You get the same thing here in Louisiana, Lori Ann. My little subdivision is in between a bayou and the Mississippi River, and if you get a wind that blows across both, the temperature is going to drop 15 to 20 degrees.
Yeah.
It just does. That's just the way it is.
Yep. Well, that's one of the reasons why I moved out of Colorado and came to New Mexico. So.
Hey, Robert, what's going on
right.
with your governor there with
guys,
the Second Amendment?
I got
ban?
that.
Well, hopefully,
Joe, hold that
she's
thought
in the
because
roundhouse.
I'm out, guys.
because I put that clip in. So hold that thought. This is the song in YouTube. Here we go.
Let me explain something to y'all real quick about Southerners, okay? You can tell a Southerner that a pandemic is finna overtake this entire world. And yeah, we probably gonna go buy up all the ass wipe and hand sanitizer, but we probably gonna be all right. All right, we can grow our own tobacco and food, and we can kill cattle and go fishing and hunting and start campfires, and we're gonna be just fine. You ain't got to worry about us none, no, never how on that. You can tell a Southerner that the biggest hurricane that has ever hit God's green earth, 6,000 miles wide with a 100-foot tidal surge, is heading right up your hometown's asshole, and we gonna stare it down like Leonidas and the 300 Spartans staring down the 15 trillion Persians. We ain't gonna bat an eye at it. You can tell us that a damn zombie apocalypse is fitting to go on, and we fitting to do target practice on headshots, and we've been training for this shit our whole lives. But if you tell a Southerner that an Arctic storm is coming, all hell breaks loose. Yankees, your fucking weather's in my yard. Come get this shit and take it back to Kroger country. You leave the region of Dollar Generals alone. We were perfectly happy down here without this kind of shit. I woke up this morning, walked outside to get the paper, walked back inside. My dick went from this big to Tic Tac size, and I already asked Sarah if she freshened her breath with it, and she said no, not till the sunbitch thaws out. Well, that's a 2-month damn ordeal now. It is so fucking cold here, it's colder than a witch's titty flying over a well digger's ass in Idaho. It's just ridiculous. I went and let my dog out of the kennel this morning. We walked to the front door. I opened it and said, go use the bathroom, buddy. He looked up at me like, you cleaning up shit today. I'm shitting inside. Went back to the kennel, and I can't blame him. I called up a buddy of mine who lives up north I went to college with. I said, man, y'all deal with this shit on a daily basis? And he hit me with that bullshit about, oh, you got to be tough in order to live in conditions like this. No, what you have is brain damage. If you go through a winter like this multiple years and it's like a reoccurring thing and you stay there, you have a disability. It's okay. We have to accept that kind of shit in 2021, but you have a disability. It needs to be acknowledged so we can get you some help. Our forefathers, as Southerners, come in on the boat somewhere up, way up yonder about 100 years ago when good Lord come over here on the Mayflower, and they headed west looking for a place to settle. After one damn winter, they said, I'm going straight down like a $2 hooker on nickel night. I'm headed south. I am not putting up with this shit. And y'all can keep y'all's old fashions, ice fishing, and pale women. Y'all just need to leave us the fuck alone with our margaritas, crawfish bowls, and happiness. There's certain things you don't fuck with this time of year. It's like church, crawfish bowls, Bassmaster Classic. That's like the 3 things you don't fuck with. And all of them are being ruined right now. I just left Walmart, and I'm not the only Southern boy that's sitting there going, what the fuck did we buy? I bought light bulbs, bananas, and damn duct tape. I don't know why I got it. I got some food and shit, too. We've been wrapping up pipes and all kind of shit. We're not built for this. You leave us down here with our Southern belles and tan women and smiles, and y'all can get off on how damn tough y'all think y'all are up north. But y'all need to come get this damn weather and haul that sumbitch back up there with y'all to Kroger country. Shit.
Shit.
I told you.
Don't fuck with those
motherfucker said Tic Tac.
You're crossing the line. I love it.
Right.
That's good.
I told you like that.
You know, the thing I always thought was hilarious when I moved down here to Albuquerque from Colorado. When it would get cold here, it would be like about 30 or 40 degrees. People would have these heavy coats on, and I'd be walking around in short sleeve shirts because it was warm to me.
Yeah. And you
well,
gotta
that's what
understand.
Minnesota was like. I remember being a kid, and it was like, here's the thing. It's like 40 degrees in Minnesota in the springtime, you put on your shorts and T-shirts. 40 degrees in the fall, that's a different story. You're like putting your mittens on and shit.
And that's the thing. That was the year that thing that guy did. That was the year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Gun, 2021 was the year that whole situation happened in West Texas, where the whole fucking state went down. Electric grid went down because of the frickin' that Arctic storm that hit Texas at that time. You know, I believe that's what happened.
Yeah,
right?
we got 14 inches of snow, and it almost killed us. 14 inches now. 14, the most snow that Texas has ever received in the history of Texas.
Global warming.
That's crazy. Oh, yeah, well, not global, climate change. I believe climate change before I believe global warming.
Oh, no, we're expecting snow in Montana tonight.
But yeah, Lorianne, that guy, Zach Rushing, he is hilarious. He's got a lot of videos just like that on different subjects. That he's hilarious. You know. So yeah. At one point I turned Gunslinger onto that guy. But yeah, I knew you'd like that. Yeah, I couldn't see my mom, my family. This is before I was born. I had a sister that was born with like some kind of blood, bone marrow deficiency or something. That they had to go up there to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. This was in the 70s, right? In the in 69, 70, 71, whatever it was. And they had to go get treatment at the Mayo Clinic, right? And so they had to go up there. My parents and my brother and my would probably should have been my older sister had to go up there to Minnesota to get that treatment, right? And they went up in the winter, and they had to travel through that winter and do that stuff, and they ended up finding out that there are tunnels that they could travel under the ground that they keep warm and shit over there in Minnesota, to where they can go from where they had to go. But yeah, I'm not gonna purposely move up to like Maine or New Hampshire or Minnesota, or you know, I'd rather deal with fucking hurricanes, you know, than deal with 30 below weather, you know.
See, I don't want to deal with hurricanes. Like, here's the nice thing about Oregon. We don't have hurricanes. If we have a tornado, it's very few and far between and weak. Okay, so we don't have to worry too much about hurricanes either. That's what I like about it. Because I know in Minnesota, I've been around tornadoes. You know, tornadoes were exciting to me. In a way, I kind of miss it. But, you know, I've, like, seen more than once tornadoes, like, forming over my head and then, like, striking down a mile, you know, past
How do you miss a tornado
but we don't get
or
that
a
a whole lot
hurricane?
here in Oregon, and we don't have hurricanes.
What the fuck?
No, but you do have volcanoes.
Why would you miss an angry, twisty? What the? No. How could you miss that? What the fuck? What in the ass? Oh, I missed this thing. This thing. You said that this big giant curly penis comes out of the sky and starts flipping fucking houses and cars. Oh, I missed that. What the fuck? No. The fuck? No.
I know, I'm fucked up, but it was fun. I'm bringing Ron Rick
Lord
in.
have mercy, this woman.
All right, Dorothy.
I know, I'm crazy. I loved tornadoes. Those sirens would go off, I'd get excited. I'm like going running outside, like, where is it? You know?
Oh God! When sirens go off around my area, I just hope that Armageddon is like time to start purging. That's what gets me excited. Is like, let's bring on the purge.
Oh man, can you imagine all the revenue I would get if I were to go back in time and change my career path to be a tornado chaser and get all that stuff on video? I could be on X and I could be on YouTube. I would bank the buck, man. I would be making tons of money off of doing videos chasing tornadoes. All the news stations would use my footage, and I'd be able to get royalties on that shit. Oh yeah. And it
I sit here and think about that movie Twister where the fucking cow goes flying past the windshield and shit. Fuck that shit, man. No, nope. Fucking, there's so much. There's a whole lot of fucking nope.
At least the cow didn't go flat on the windshield. It just flew by them.
Well, this time that was in the movie. In real life, you're with the cow. You're following the cow. You're in your car floating around with the cow. That's how it happens in real life. Fuck that shit. No. No.
Hello,
Nope.
You're
That's
too
why
funny. You're with the cow. You're being the cow. Lift it up in the system.
Hey, Lori. Hey, Lori, there is nothing that a libertarian can't do. All she has to do is get in her frickin' car, drive east and a little south, and you can start videotaping all those tornadoes and making all that money. You know, that's all you have to do. There's nothing stopping you.
Who the hell can afford the gas?
Well, that's what you're going to use all that money for.
It's going to be pretty
that's
damn
what you're going to use. Hey,
not even Elon Musk will give me enough to afford the gas.
Just like any other job, you got to make money to spend money, you know, or you have to spend money to make money. You know, you spend a little money to get on gas to get there, and then you make all your money filming tornadoes.
I don't know, man. I'm obviously been doing it wrong. Every time I spend money, I just have less money.
You can go.
Every time I spend money, I have less money.
I'm just a more broke bitch. That's what happens to me. I'm just like, oh, you were broke, now you're more broke. That's how that works out.
How much would it cost Lori Ann to go from Oregon to basically where Gunslinger is? You know, because that's at the tip. That's at the almost the southern tip of the Hurricane Alley, up there in the panhandle of Texas.
Well,
right?
it's not a Hurricane Alley. It's Tornado Alley.
Tornado Alley. I'm sorry, Tornado Alley, but yeah, I mean,
I'm pretty sure he just said that he wants Lori to take just the tip. That's what I just heard. Sorry.
Yep.
Everybody wants Lori Ann to be sucked up by a tornado. I understand.
Don't talk about getting sucked up without talking about the alleged vice president.
Look, I'd rather be in a hurricane than a tornado, because a hurricane, you got days, almost up to a week, to know what's coming. Tornadoes, you don't. Yep. You might get 10 minutes warning if you're lucky. If you're lucky.
But you can see the tornado coming. You can get out of its way.
Unless it's rain wrapped or unless it's at night, then you can't see either one of them. And then it comes right down on top of. I've seen them all.
Tornadoes come out of freaking nowhere. I remember one time I was at work. When I was in Minnesota, I was at work, and I was outside having a cigarette, and it was clear. It was clear as day, man. It was humid as hell. It was hot as hell, but there wasn't a cloud in the sky. And I get done having my cigarette. I come back in, and all of a sudden, like, everything went black. It just, like, came out of freaking nowhere, and it touched down about a half a mile away from where I was working. And I was like, wow, and I'm, like, going back outside,
Go look up. Go look up in YouTube, Lancaster, Texas tornado. Okay? That motherfucker went over my house. I seen that son of a bitch. Holy shit. And we went flying the next day over the area. Whole neighborhoods were just sucked clean like a gigantic vacuum cleaner and deposited about 4 miles away. I seen that with my own 2 eyes. Man, that's fucking crazy. You want to see some crazy shit? See the aftermath of one of them motherfuckers. Okay? I go into the bank with in that same thing, going through a neighborhood, and one house is destroyed. The next house is perfectly clean, maybe a shingle missing. The next house is destroyed. Now, I seen that with my own 2 eyes. And you talk about some weird shit. I mean, the house right in the middle there, just boom, gone, but the houses on both sides just perfectly, not even touched.
Well, what's wrong with all of you guys? I guess you're just not old enough to understand.
Here we fucking go.
Where's your sense of adventure?
I'm old enough.
You're just
literally,
I've
seen a tornado form over my head. I took pictures of it and everything, and my family and friends are freaking out, and I'm taking pictures. Like, here's a tornado. It's gonna strike down soon. Of course, I don't have a digital because I was a teenager at the time, and that was before the digitization of photos. But that was all exciting to me, though. It was. I don't know. I know I'm weird. I know I'm fucking weird. Okay, I'm weird. I'm fucking weird.
Well, it's like this. You guys aren't old enough to have figured it out yet that there's nothing you're gonna do, no matter what you want to do or what you want to try or anything else, you ain't going to beat Mother Nature. So you might as well just sit down, watch it in amazement, and enjoy it. That's it.
And may as well video record it. If I'm going to get sucked up by a tornado and thrown, 10 miles away, I may as well video record it.
Might as well. There it comes.
And remember,
but of course, now I'm sure that in order to actually be a tornado chaser, I'm sure you have to take state mandated classes, and you have to pay a fucking fee to get a license. And
of course. Of course.
There's going to be all these
if
regulations.
I'm going to get sucked up, I just want to enjoy it. Sorry.
Exactly.
Somebody earlier asked something about a QA question. Who was that directed towards?
What's the question?
I don't remember. But there is a clip that I wanted to play from Coyo Noir about the recent, decision in court about the California ban on quote unquote assault weapons. Could do that.
Yeah, I didn't remember who asked it, but I just wondered if we wanted to touch base on that or.
Yeah, let me play that clip because I know that I mentioned it a couple of times, and that'll be a good segue. especially because I know that there are some two-way supporters in this call. I'm pulling it up right now.
Someone.
Okay, so here we go. It's pretty short. It's only 3 minutes. So this will segue into our Second Amendment conversation portion of the evening. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and launch.
This is why voting and the way you vote matters.
California's assault weapons ban has been ruled unconstitutional. That's according to a federal judge who says high-powered rifles are important for law-abiding people who want to protect themselves. The state's effort to limit who buys them goes against the Second Amendment. California's Attorney General already said they filed an appeal to the ruling.
If I was pro-2A and lived in California, I'd have a shrine in my house dedicated to Judge Roger T. Benitez. He's like the Matumbo of U.S. district judges because he's been swatting away California's wacky gun laws for years now. When California wanted to ban high-capacity magazines, Judge Benitez said, no, 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 no. When they wanted to put a background check on ammo, Judge Benitez said, no, 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 no. And now he's saying, no, 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 no. The California's assault weapon ban, which he stated, impedes on residents' Second Amendment rights and has no historical precedent. And you want to know what California argued in response to this? The law aims to prevent mass shooters from gaining access to assault weapons. But from the 1980s to 2023, California has had the most mass shootings in the U.S., and handguns are involved in about 78% of mass shootings. So if the logic is to ban specific guns to prevent mass shooters from using them, that would mean you could ban the Second Amendment to prevent mass shooters from getting guns to use them, which, if you ask me, is their goal. And they do it in a heartbeat if they thought they could do it without starting a civil war. This isn't the first time Judge Benitez ruled California's law unconstitutional. California first banned semi-automatic rifles in 1989. In 2021, Benitez ruled California's law unconstitutional, but the Ninth Circuit Court vacated his decision after the Bruin decision, which established a different test to determine if a gun control law is unconstitutional. They wanted the judge to re-examine the law using this new test. So now, Benitez is basically saying an assault weapon ban was unconstitutional under the old test, and it still is unconstitutional under the new test. The judge gave California 10 days to appeal his decision, which they've already started the process of doing. This appeal should be interesting, considering this new test has an even easier standard to reach to determine that a gun law is unconstitutional. So, it's not looking good for California's anti-gun zealots. But in the meantime, there's technically still an assault weapon ban in place in California. But from the looks of it, it's holding on by a thread, because it's clear as day that AR-15s are protected by the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It didn't say only the guns that California said were okay. It said arms. So, help me spread this message on YouTube by clicking the thumbs up button, leaving a comment to let me know what you think about the video, and then subscribing to the channel. But most importantly, click the bell symbol, and for products like this new embroidered hoodie.
Okay, I cut off the end of it. Ron Reck had his hand raised, dropped, and then called back in. So, Ron Reck, press number 1 if you want to join in. And we have a Skype number raising their hand, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in Skype.
Man,
hey,
what is going to take this store? What is going to take this store to constitutional balance? I swear, Laurie. We got liars like the President of the United States says, and just plain out historical ignorance, malfeasance, and prevarication says that you couldn't buy a cannon when he wrote the Second Amendment, which is a bald-faced lie. It wasn't a single federal gun control law on the books when they wrote the Second Amendment. The only thing you needed to have was the money to buy one and someone willing to sell one to you. And if you could buy it, you could own it. Period. End of story.
Exactly.
You could own a cannon.
On in.
A cannon.
Ron, you are on. And yeah, and Biden keeps repeating that lie over and over and over again. Why? Because if you repeat a lie often enough, his Democrat followers will believe it instead of actually checking it out for themselves and realizing, yeah, no, we want our independence exactly because we could have cannons. And that's part of how we won our independence, is because we had cannons.
So right after the Civil War, I got a newspaper. I got it on my computer, and I don't have a newspaper, but I got on my computer a copy of a page of a local newspaper. I believe it was in Ohio. I think it was in Ohio. And they're announcing an auction of surplus Civil War cannon. It's open to the public. It says in the advertisement, all members of the public are welcome to bid on these Napoleon and 6-pounder cannon. You understand? And the federal government was conducting the auction. This is right after the Civil War. Again, cannon. The kind that can fire grape shot and canister and all the, the most horrible, imaginable, devastatingly effective cannons of the time, to say nothing of high explosive shells, and they were on sale to the public, proudly proclaimed by your federal government as war surplus. All you had to have was the money, and you could buy as many of them cannons as you could bid for.
Well, there's nothing against antiques, and that's why you could own antique weapons.
No, but these were cannon. I mean, they were fully operable cannon that would fire high explosive.
It has nothing to do with antique, nothing.
And
the reality is,
these in fact, because these weapons were in fact just slightly obsolescent. Some of them weren't obsolescent; they were just surplus. They were excess to the inventory needs of the government. So they were actually the same cannon the United States Army was using at the time.
Right.
All right. Well,
so the honest reality is people need to start realizing and remembering the fact that the federal government is not supposed to even have arms that American citizens that we don't have. And in fact, if you go back in history, and we actually even touched on this in the Oregon case here recently on Measure 114 and the magazine bans and all that bullshit. If you actually go back in history, the military, as a historical reference, which goes back to the Bruin decision and everything else, and just like history and precedent, we've actually been able to buy weapons from the military. The military used to actually sell, and still does in some cases, sell weapons to private citizens. You can get tickets in order to bring your private weapon or your military weapon off base. You can take your weapon with you if you so choose. If you're willing to get the license, which I don't even think that shouldn't even that shouldn't even exist. But the reality is, if you actually go back in history, we're not supposed to have any different weapons than the military is supposed to have. And in fact, we're supposed to have all the same weapons or more weapons than the military has, because the whole reason for the Second Amendment and the whole reason for us to have the rights, which are inalienable rights, is to be able to protect ourselves from enemies, foreign and domestic. And that includes the United States government. So we should have all of this. And Bruin proves that. That's the reality of it. And we're actually fighting that right now in Oregon with Measure 114. So Benitez, thank God for Benitez, and that I fully agree with this man. what everything that he just now said is absolutely fucking spot on. There's a reason they call him Saint Benitez, and it's because he actually truly, even before Bruin, went back and said, hey, listen, this is, history and precedent says absolutely not. Every record that he can find has always said that you absolutely cannot remove the rights of a citizen to have military-grade weapons or above military-grade weapons. And
Well,
really,
Exactly.
somewhere around 80 to 90% of the weapons in American history have actually been, most of them have been designed by citizens, but they've been designed by private citizens. So to say that private citizens didn't have weapons that were designed by them, that the military ended up adopting, is fucking asinine.
Yeah, exactly. You know, military weapons typically came from the innovation of the private sector, not
Absolutely.
the other way around. And that's the tradition.
Absolutely.
And absolutely, yeah. And I love what you're saying. And I think that this is great timing because this is happening while the judge in Harney County is deciding on the Oregon constitutionality of Measure 114 and its restrictions on magazine bans, and especially the permit to purchase. The permit to purchase is complete and utter bullshit on every level. And so while he's considering his verdict on the case, then this is happening with very similar legislation in California. And so that it's the best timing ever as far as influencing what his decision's going to be here in Oregon and shooting the whole measure down, not just parts of it, but the whole damn thing.
Well, so there's actually a couple of things to take into consideration, though. Because the Judge Benitez is ruling.
Yeah, let's have Valerie get a word in if we can here.
No worries. So Judge Benitez's ruling won't impact the state-level case in Harney County because the state-level case in Harney County, and I actually double-checked this with one of the attorneys in the federal case, but the Harney County case is challenging Measure 114 under Oregon's state constitution. Judge Benitez's ruling is at the federal level, so that will impact the federal level cases that we have that are being appealed to the Ninth Circuit Court. So, and Judge Ratio, who is the one hearing the state level case in Harney County on Measure 114, has already said he's not going to consider Judge Benitez's ruling on the magazine ban because it's not relevant. But it can absolutely have huge implications for the federal case, the federal cases impacting Measure 114 here in Oregon.
Judge Immergott.
Yes, Judge Immergott, who actually was a Trump appointee, but I'm going to leave that one be. Judge Benitez.
No, you will not leave that one be. Absolutely not. No.
Yes, I will. For the moment.
You are not allowed.
So Judge Benitez's last ruling was 79 pages, and I have not read the entire thing, but he touched on a couple interesting points towards the conclusion of it. Because the state claims that the Second Amendment is not to be read literally. Instead, it claims that the history of the Second Amendment demonstrates that governments enjoyed robust police powers to regulate weapons, including who may possess them, where they may be possessed, and what weapons may be possessed and used. But as was shown above, that is inaccurate. Governments did and do enjoy a police power to criminalize the use of a firearm to commit another crime such as assault. And the police power could be said to include restricting carrying a firearm concealed as long as it does not also restrict openly carrying. However, governments did not possess the power to regulate who, among law-abiding citizens, could possess firearms. And governments did not possess the police power to regulate which firearms could be possessed and used. The only state law in the first 100 years purporting to prohibit the mere possession of any firearm was the 1868 Alabama law prohibiting possession of the dangerous and unusual rifle walking cane. So it is patently incorrect to say that governments enjoyed a robust police power to decide what prohibited. It is still true, and this isn't, I'll wrap this up, but I think it's important to know what he said. He said, final considerations, it is still true that the very purpose of a Bill of Rights was to withdraw certain subjects from the vicissitudes of political controversy, to place them beyond the reach of majorities and officials, and to establish them as legal principles to be applied by the courts. One's right to life, liberty, and property, to free speech, a free press, freedom of worship and assembly, and other fundamental rights may not be submitted to vote. They depend on the outcomes of no elections. The question remains, in an age where weapons run the gamut from fighter jets to tanks and anti-aircraft missiles down to AR-15s to handguns to pocket knives, which weapons are protected by the Second Amendment and which are not. As one judge understood, quote, "This case and others like it demonstrate we cannot rely on insular federal judges to weigh which weapons are appropriate for self-defense. They honestly don't have a clue, and their intuitions about firearms are not good. And we can't rely on governments to decide. That's who the Second Amendment was intended to protect against. But as Heller discusses, we can look to what weapons law-abiding citizens have chosen to defend themselves. That is, what weapons are currently in common use for lawful purposes," end quote. It is the common firearms, in this case semi-automatic rifles, shotguns, and pistols, chosen for whatever the lawful reason, that are protected by the Second Amendment. The state's attempt to ban these popular firearms creates the extreme policy that a handful of criminals can dictate the conduct and infringe on the freedom of law-abiding citizens. As Heller explained, the Second Amendment takes certain policy choices and removes them beyond the realm of permissible state actions. There is only one policy enshrined in the Bill of Rights. Guns and ammunition in the hands of criminals, tyrants, and terrorists are dangerous. Guns in the hands of law-abiding, responsible citizens are necessary. To give full life to the core right of self-defense, every law-abiding, responsible individual citizen has a constitutionally protected right to keep and bear firearms commonly owned and kept for lawful purposes. In early America and today, the Second Amendment right of self-preservation permits a citizen to repel force by force when the intervention of society in his behalf may be too late to prevent that injury. Unfortunately, governments tend to restrict the right of armed self-defense. Punishing every good citizen because bad ones misuse a gun offends the Constitution. Punishing every good citizen because bad ones misuse a gun offends the Constitution. The Supreme Court in 1878 said it succinctly: "If cowardly and dishonorable men sometimes shoot unarmed men with army pistols or guns, the evil must be prevented by the penitentiary and gallows, and not by a general deprivation of a constitutional privilege." That pretty much, today many Americans have good reason to fear that they will be victimized if they're unable to protect themselves, and today, no less than in 1791, the Second Amendment guarantees their right to do so. That was the end of his ruling,
awesome.
And I think he worded things pretty well.
I like to go along with what
agree
Prince Cox wrote. Prince Cox wrote this.
I'm going to
He said,
bring on
the militia
here real
of
quick.
My only issue with what he said in that ruling is because overall I love it all. I mean, I really do. It's great. However, he kept mentioning that the Bill of Rights basically gives people the rights, or that the Constitution gives people the rights, and that is not true. The fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, you have the right without any paper, without any person telling you that you have the ability to protect yourself. You have the right to defend your life, no matter what any paper. Exactly. You have an inalienable right. It doesn't matter what any of that shit says. So I agree with everything he said, other than the part where he kept saying you have the constitutional, right and whatnot. It's like, well, yes, but that's
privilege.
Kind of
you stated privilege.
You
said privilege.
Yeah, standing in a
it's damn sure not a fucking
Here's
privilege.
another part of it.
No, when he
Here's
said
another
privilege,
part of it
he
is
was
I
quoting
want this
something.
to take effect to these civil cases and these bullshit lawsuits against the manufacturers. So since they're trying to get around the Second Amendment and our own state constitutions that protect our right to bear arms, they're trying to get around that to bring these civil lawsuits against the manufacturers accountable for what other people do with their firearms. And so I am hoping that some of these decisions will apply to these bullshit civil cases suing manufacturers. I think that's like the next level.
I do. I think that's the next level. I do think I think that's coming down the pike. I really do. I only say that because we are starting to see that in small cases here and there, like the silencer suppressing, freedom law and stuff like that. They're starting to nitpick at some of this stuff and starting to say, nah, you can't do this, and this is why. So I do think that we're going to start seeing some of that movement. It's just taking some time because we're trying to kind of reestablish the natural rights and the constitutional rights, kind of back into order, and that had kind of left. So I'm trying to hold out some hope, and it's looking good. At least from my standpoint, it's looking good.
In my lifetime, it always looked good until the next judge come along, and then the next judge, and then the next judge. If you want a rocket launcher, you should be able to have a rocket launcher. Suppose you look up one day and Dan Rodan is walking down the street. You got the inalienable right, God-given right to protect yourself. These judges full of a bunch of crap, and until somebody tell them to go to hell, they're going to keep on acting the way they do. The rules are not laws.
Well, Michigan had a Second Amendment Protection Act or whatever that the governor had signed, and that was appealed, and the Supreme Court decided to not. Basically, they upheld the fact that or not the Supreme Court, a federal judge, maybe it was, I don't remember. Anyway, it was upheld that the federal law supersedes the state law when it comes, which was, I don't remember how, but basically the judge erred in his ruling, and it was a federal judge, and so the Michigan Attorney General is going to be appealing that decision. I think it's the 8th or the 5th Circuit Court, but it just goes to show how we've got people, fallible people, making these decisions based on their opinions and not actually what the Constitution says.
Yeah.
Those federal judges.
There's a couple of.
That's happening because people are not following along. They're trying to decipher what the Constitution says rather than reading what the Constitution says and then also going back and reading the letters of our founders. I understand that everybody wants to just kind of try to decipher what the Constitution says and what the Bill of Rights say. Really, if you really want to know what our founders said, what the writers said, all you have to do is go back and look at their letters. Their letters will tell you plainly what they
full
meant.
of writings about what the Second Amendment meant and what the right to keep and bear arms meant. King Scott said this: the militia of these free commonwealths, entitled and accustomed to their arms, when compared with any possible army, must be tremendous and irresistible. Who are the militia?
Exactly.
Are they not ourselves? It is fear, then, that we shall turn our arms, each man against his own bosom. Congress has no power to disarm the militia. Their swords and every other terrible implement of the soldier are the birthright of an American. The unlimited power of the sword is not in the hands of either the federal or state governments, but where I trust in God, it will ever remain in the hands of the people. There's countless statements like this from major founders: Zachariah Johnson, Roger Sherman, John Zixon, Alexander Hamilton, Eldridge Gerry, Joseph Story, Samuel Adams, Thomas Paine, Patrick Henry, Richard Henry Lee, James Madison, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. In a similar vein, we can go on and on and on and on with these quotes. It is clear as a bell what they intended. And anybody who says otherwise simply wants to disregard the right or negate it.
And not only that, the Constitution does not have an on-off switch. Come hurricane, tornado, virus, COVID, come the collapse of gonorrhea. It's on all the goddamn time.
Always.
Are you serious? You guys just made me all feel all warm and fuzzy. I love it.
But I'm telling you, man, I don't think
this doesn't make your nipples hard, your dick fucking hard. I don't know what the fuck does. I'm sorry.
I don't think any other aspect of the Constitution was more clearly expressed what the framers meant on the right to keep and bear arms, because that was literally the catalyst that enabled the United States to exist.
Sarge, judicial interpretations here, right? It says in the revision of the statutes relating to the district, clauses of the Act of 1871 declaring the District of Columbia, okay, be a body of corporate for municipal purposes with power to contract, was retained by the Act of June 20th, 1874 for the government of the district, okay? It's a corporation, and for those purposes, okay? So you don't have no more constitution as an organic constitution. You have a corporation now in Washington, D.C. that governs through municipalities and statutes and codes. Those supersede your constitution today.
Nothing exceeds the Constitution.
Nothing exceeds the Constitution.
Is allowed to exist because of the Constitution.
Nothing exceeds the Constitution. It's not possible. It's not possible. I don't care what that act says. It is not possible to exceed the Constitution in any statute.
Yep. Yes, it is.
The Constitution allows.
No, it isn't. They may do it, but that doesn't mean that they're allowed to do it.
Well, I understand that they're not supposed to, but
everybody else, let's take turns here, because when three people are talking at once, then everything becomes blah, 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 blah. Just saying.
So, like Sarge says, the Constitution permits those entities as making acts to even exist. Here we go again, saying that the damn child gave birth to the mama.
Lorianne?
Okay.
You could say that. I would agree. I agree with that, actually.
Who is that using that Southern logic?
It's Bianchi. If I was on the North Pole of the moon, it would only make sense. Only a dumbass would look at it any other way. And we got to stop paying attention to these dumbasses.
But isn't the Constitution, wasn't it written for us to be protected from these assholes that are fucking with us? Really? Ain't we supposed to be protected by it?
Yeah, I know. Are you really protected?
They play with it in their hands like putty. Fuck no. They play with it. They meant something. They come up with the straw man itself. That's the rules you live by. The Constitution has no power against that fucking fact when you give consent to be fucked. That's what it does. Now, I've been in court systems for over almost 40 years now, and I've seen the game how it's played. It's simply a fact of consent. You know, anybody can be able to have a gun. I don't care if you're a felon or whatever you are. It doesn't matter. The simple fact is, now let's bring this one fact into it. Why is it most of these mass shootings and all these school shootings? These people never had an arrest record in their life. They're complete law-abiding, sane citizens. We don't have no more mental health care facilities in the country to help anybody. They don't give a shit. There ain't no money in it. Since there ain't no money in it, we don't have it. So people can be wackadoodled out way the fuck out there. They don't care. They give a firearm. They have legal right to own one, but, a regular person doesn't. And then they want you to register everything you got. You got to get through all this testing and checking and blood testing, sperm count. Then they simply can find you anytime they want. So when they do pull the call, when they make that phone call, say, well, it's time to go seize these guns from these people because they no longer have the right to them anymore. Fuck the Constitution. Let's go get them. Who are they going for? Registered gun owners. Right off the bat. The illegal people will still have them. The ones that are supposedly protecting them from. And there's another funny part. I'm not going to keep ranting. But anyway, here's the funny part. Why does it always happen? You get shot, killed, maimed, ran over, beat up, robbed, raped, pillaged, and the cops don't show up till later on. Ain't they supposed to protect you?
On June 10th, 1874, for the government of the district, the statutes providing for the district a governor, secretary, legislative assembly, board of public works, and delegates to Congress were repealed, and all the power and authority then vested in the governor and board of public works, except as limited by that act, were invested in a commission composed of excuse me, I lost my place right there. But the bottom line, it says composed of 3 persons to the appointed by the president with the consent of the corporation. It's a corporation. You don't have no constitution no more. We're not a republic. We're a mob rule democracy.
All those believe that corporations rule. Bend over. Don't raise your hand. Just go ahead and bend over.
Every day. You are every day.
Yeah. The hell if I do.
But hey, you know, at least if you bend over, you'll have a nice, like, rainbow feathered, you know, anal plug for your pleasure.
But wait, but here's what I want to know. I want to know one single legislative act of any state that has been negated by this particular statute. Please be specific. Tell me what action of any state has been obstructed, negated, or changed by this corporation statute.
Well, tell me an address of where your common law courts are today. Name one common law court.
All of them essentially are common law courts once they make a ruling because it becomes part of the common law. Every single precedent and ruling becomes part of the common law. That's what common law means.
Common law.
They're all common law courts once they make a ruling. All of the Supreme Court is a common law court.
Take 12 people in the neighborhood, pick somebody else to be that's your common law court.
So you're going to tell me all these codes and statutes in each state are constitutional, most of them?
I have a clip, I think, that covers this. I don't think I've uploaded it yet, but keep talking because you're getting me on a clip that explains the shit that Gibson is talking about.
But again, I understand. I know I've heard that before, and then we read the statute, and we read the requisite section that speaks of what constitutes a corporation under the statute because it's defined in the statute. And it talks about constituencies of the federal government, agencies that do accounting for the federal government in the form of collecting taxes and dealing with revenue. It specifically says that in the statute that you're citing.
So what's the problem, Sarge? I don't understand what
I'm
you're
saying that's why I'm asking. What action of any state, any legislative or executive action by any state in the union, and for that matter, judicial, that has been negated by the statute? And if so, explain to me how that happened, because I can't think of any.
It's called the Civil War, okay? When they all abandoned their seats in Congress and they walked out, and succession, and then they lost the Civil War. And your 14th Amendment was created.
Okay, the 14th Amendment was created. We agreed that it was created unconstitutionally. They didn't do it. That didn't have anything to do with the because the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868, and this statute you're referring to came about in 1871.
How could you just eat your words in?
Right now, discussing what we're talking about. Keep going.
The 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868, and this statute was promulgated in 1871. So he had 14th Amendment unconstitutionally ratified 3 years prior.
Sarge, if it was unconstitutional, not ratified, then how can it be law? How can it be a law?
But you're talking a separate issue. You're talking a parallel issue. The statute did not. The 14th Amendment did not create the statute, or the other way around. Certainly, the statute didn't create the 14th Amendment because the statute did not exist when the 14th Amendment was ratified.
The District of Columbia versus Henry E. Woodbury. They decided that, okay, that's right there where they address this issue. Right here, you're a corporation and it's a municipality. They run everything. You have no constitutional rights anymore. Go ahead and try to demand your constitutional rights. You can't. How? You walk into a United States Federal District Court, you've got no rights.
Well, you always have constitutional rights where they apply. The only question is, does it apply in a particular case?
Where they apply? Sarge, come on, bro. What are you talking about? Apply?
No, I'm saying, okay, you can't, for instance, you can't invoke the 8th Amendment to argue you have a right to keep and bear arms under the Second, or involving the Second. Every constitutional right has to be pertinent to the case before any court.
Right, but under law, under the effective law of crime, and any crime being factored in would have to be victim damage or fraud. Within them three elements has to be. The fact of it is we have been modified. It's like you got one right that's been modified completely, and people don't get that yet, is the freedom of travel. People don't seem to understand that one either. Yep. That has been modified. That is no longer legal. That was considered a privilege.
So I do have this clip ready to go, talking about what Joe Gibson was bringing up. This is from Really Graceful from a few years ago. Let's see, the most important history lessons Americans were never taught. Really Graceful. And this goes to what Joe Gibson was bringing up about America becoming a corporation versus, a sovereign state. And so I'm going to go ahead and play this right now since I can, and since it's a good timing because Joe Gibson brought it up. So here we go. We're going to play this. Stick around, okay? And it's a good one. I love Really Graceful. By the way, follow her on YouTube.
Hey Internet friends, the school year is starting back, and like most happenings in 2020, the situation is just not the same as it was in years prior, since parents are now faced with a challenging decision: whether or not to send their child back to in-person school, keep them at home with the school's distance learning program, or homeschool them with a custom curriculum. Regardless of what you might decide for yourself and your family, today I want to talk about something I was never taught in school, public or private, and that's the pivotal year that everything changed for the United States of America, creating a domino effect of events that have led us to this moment in time, right now, as you're watching this. The year was 1871, and while the events of this year have been purposefully hidden from the masses, 1871 must never be forgotten. Much like Vatican City and the City of London, Washington, D.C. has its own sovereignty. Basically, D.C., City of London, and Vatican City are totally separate territories from the nations in which they reside. Vatican City is technically enclaved within Rome, outfitted with its own special police force and political structure. The same way the City of London is situated within the city called London, and it has its own flag, crest, police force, ceremonial armed forces, and a mayor. And sure, there are states within the United States that have their own constitution and distinctive flags, but I think most people you'd ask would know that Washington, D.C. isn't a state. Most folks would tell you that Washington, D.C. is where our laws are made, where our politicians congregate, and where our White House resides. But on the D.C. flag, which is said to have been reflective of George Washington's coat of arms, there are 3 stars. And I wonder, are those stars representative of the 3 city-states that exist as corporate entities outside of their respective nations? Vatican City, the religious hub, the City of London, the banking central, and Washington, D.C., the military leg of the empire. Being its own city-state, D.C. has its own police force that shares a direct link with Congress, its own mayor, and its own set of laws. But our founding fathers certainly didn't set it up like this, so how did it come to be? The year was 1871. The U.S. was going through a lot of turmoil. The nation was bankrupt and vulnerable after the Civil War, and the London bankers, which included the notorious Rothschild family, were ready to make a deal with Congress to remedy that turmoil. Turmoil, I might add, that is suspected that the bankers had a hand in creating in the first place. At any rate, these bankers made a lot of credit available in the aftermath of the Civil War as a means to, 1, fight Lincoln's greenback after he was murdered, with some theorizing that part of the motivation for his assassination came from his push to privatize the monetary system. And the second reason that the bankers made so much credit available was to collect on the interest from those who desperately needed the money, which would be the United States government at the time. Now, this was nothing new. This was a practice as old as time. Well, as old as Mystery Babylon. Not much has really changed since the days of Babylon. Not the usury, not the debt slavery, not even the iconography. Passed by Congress, the Act of 1871 provided a government for the 10-mile parcel of land known as the District of Columbia, allowing Washington, D.C. to act as a corporation outside of the original Constitution of the United States. So, okay, why does the Washington, D.C. Constitution have nothing to do with the United States Constitution? Why exactly is Washington, D.C. totally separate from the rest of the United States? Why does it need to be separate from the United States as a separate territory at the epicenter of the Virgin Mary, tucked right between Virginia and Maryland? The Act of 1871 changed our country's founding fathers' original Constitution for the United States for America to the Constitution of the United States of America. If you blink, you might miss it because it's a mixture of impactful wording and some weird capitalization thrown in there that pretty much means nothing to the average person upon initial inspection. But these subtle changes are a huge deal in the realm of legislation. Compounded with these minor changes was clever marketing of the act as a way to unify the territorial government for the entire District of Columbia. The aforementioned are contributing factors as to how such a major act flew under the radar, ultimately overturning the United States constitutional republic. Since 1871, the federal government has usurped nearly all of the power that was formerly held in the hands of the people. But how on earth was Congress able to pass a separate constitution and incorporate the United States? A bunch of attorneys have contacted me about the subject, explaining it to me. Thank you for everyone who's done that. But let me break it down to you in a way that won't make you just totally fall asleep. A corporation, by definition, is a legal entity separate from its owners. A corporation protects its owners from personal liability for corporate debts and obligations within limits. So was the Act of 1871 as harmless as some claim, just an act to provide a government for the District of Columbia and nothing more? We can answer that question by simply stepping back and taking a look at the dominoes that fell after this act was passed, and asking the question, who benefited from this piece of legislation? Is the Act of 1871 the reason why Congress passed the 16th Amendment, which allowed the federal government to tax individual personal income regardless of state population? Is the Act of 1871 the reason why the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 was passed, handing over America's gold and silver reserves and ultimately the total control of America's economy to the Federal Reserve Bank? Think about it. A private corporation established their private bank, acting as the central bank of the United States, but it isn't even a government institution, but a privately owned banking system. Is it a coincidence that Social Security numbers started being assigned in 1935? Social Security numbers being the 9-digit numbers given to every U.S. citizen and used for income tracking and taxation purposes. Ultimately, individual income taxes have been the primary source of revenue for the U.S. federal government since the 1950s. These moves make a lot of sense when examined through the lens of the United States as a corporation and its citizens as employees, a corporate government asset before they even go through puberty. But still, throughout all this time, there was a promise that the American dollar was actually worth something tangible, not just the confidence to exchange it for goods and services. A dollar was worth 1/35 an ounce of gold. But then President Richard Nixon came along and screwed that up for us, severing the final link between the dollar and gold in 1971. In other words, he took the dollar off the gold standard once and for all. Steadily, the purchasing power of the dollar has declined while federal and consumer debt has increased. Currently, we're witnessing the culmination of all of these decisions, and it ain't pretty. We're one bad flu season removed from Weimar Republic wheelbarrow money. So who would you say benefited from the Act of 1871? The average U.S. citizen or the bankers who incorporated the United States, who have been buying politicians ever since? The same Federal Reserve who serves absolutely no real function except stealing the purchasing power of your 60-plus hour work week and then redistributing those funds to destroy your rights and enslave you on your own soil. Hey, just like they did back in Babylon. It's the same folks using the same debt slavery system, time after time. When will we learn that debt with interest is a system of perpetual debt and is continually passed on to the people beneath until the debt gap consumes all but those who own the debt? Well, like I said in the beginning of this video, the most pivotal year in United States history was never taught to me in school, public or private, and never taught to me at a college level. But as Americans, it's so important that we not let this information die with our generation. One of the most important lessons you can teach your children is how to obtain their own freedom, how to identify when their freedoms are being taken from them, and how to demand those personal freedoms and liberties back, instead of waiting around for a hero in the form of a politician to represent them, to offer solutions. During this time, we've seen people of all ages crying out for change. And instead of focusing on the changes we could make that could fundamentally change the United States for the better, especially on an individual level, politicians are selling socialism and communism, aka more government control, to young people looking for an answer, and they beg for it because the future seems so bleak. Whether you play with paper or with digital money, the future will always be bleak if you're a debt slave. If before your foot even touches this earth, you're scanned into the system as an employee of this corporation who does not care about you one bit. The United States is still a great country, but it has its problems, and you can riot and loot and protest all you want, but until the Federal Reserve is ended, until the Act of 1871 is torn into 1,000 pieces and thrown into the wind, until the IRS is abolished, and until we move back to the gold standard, we have no chance at experiencing any iota of freedom. What do you think, Internet friends? Did you know about the Act of 1871? I always look forward to reading your comments. Thank you so much for sharing this video, for subscribing, and for supporting my channel on Patreon. Bye!
So what do you think, Joe Gibson? Does that pretty much sum up what
I would
happened,
say right on. Perfect.
how we changed to a corporation and all
perfect.
the after effects ever since?
I said perfect. Glad you played that because that explains it all.
I agree. The Federal Reserve is doing a job that the U.S. Treasury should do. You know what the question should be? If the United States want to build a submarine, that's debt, $4 billion. Then the Federal Reserve issue bonds, and then the bonds go to the Treasury to print the currency, and then they charge interest. So the question should be, who is the interest going to? Let's name the people, entity that the interest is going to.
The Federal Reserve.
Let's see. The Rothschilds. The Rothschilds are the bankers that for hundreds of years have been behind the financing of every war, and is the benefactor of the Federal Reserve. The number one benefactor of the Reserve and controller of the Federal Reserve are the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds.
When you issue a bond,
and by the way,
effectively
the Rockefellers are related to the Rothschilds. Do you think they're separate entities? No. Long time ago, the Rothschilds married into the Rockefellers. Do you think they're separate? No,
Can I throw something
not.
up?
The Rothschilds and the Rockefellers are one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
When you issue a bond, you are lending money to a government, whether it's a municipality, a school district, or even the federal government. All right? So where is this money coming from that's backing this bond? The only thing that could be backing the bond on the other end is the submarine.
Thin air.
But somebody has to have the money to issue.
Bianchi. You know that. The Federal Reserve prints that shit out of thin air. And, you're a bond, too. Your birth certificate made you a bond. That's why you're in debt for the money they spend. You were sold. They turned you into a corporation. You became, when your mom and daddy made you became a product. So you remember the junk out in the sea. Remember, Uniform Commercial Code is all about banking in the sea, right? Well, you're considered wreckage, and you're owned by the state. Okay, you're a ward of the state, and they use you for collateral to the Federal Reserve because the Federal Reserve is not going to call out that money after 1929. Right? Now, let me bring this up to you real quick, y'all real quick. All right, Bianchi, give me a second, bro. Listen. Let me throw it.
One at a time. All you guys are talking over each other
let me throw it up.
Sounding like gobbledygook.
Gotcha. I got you. But listen, let me bring something up. You remember the Civil War? We had that Civil War thing going on. The North against the South. You know the banks financed both sides of that shit? The banks did. They financed that war. So,
all right, let me ask you this question. We talk about the Social Security, it's got 9 numbers. What happens when the population go over 1 billion? Them 9 numbers ain't no damn good no more.
Add another number. Why not? What the hell?
Yeah. Before you guys go any further, You guys, before you guys get any further into this conversation, I am actually going to interrupt real quick because I need to tell everybody good night because I've got kiddos to get off to bed. So they are enjoying being able to stay up a little bit later than normal, but I do have to get going. So it was definitely been a pleasure listening to everybody, and I look forward to speaking with you all next week and hearing what everybody has to say. And I hope you guys have a good night and enjoy the rest of your conversations.
Wish the kiddies pleasant dreams for me.
Advantage of mommy being occupied. I love you, Valerie. I'm so glad that you're here. I appreciate you. Like I said earlier in the part one of the show, you had your work cut out for you because you were dealing with the trolls and going into the green room, which is something that that's why we need a good co-host, because it's not something that a host can really do to, step away and go into the green room and screen callers. So, you've been awesome, Valerie. I just got to say, every single way, every single form, I'm so happy to have you, and I so appreciate you being here as my second chair. And, go get your kiddos to bed, and I look forward to having you back here next week. I'm sure all of the callers here, I think everybody's a fan of you at this point, so put it that way.
Well, thank you for the vote of confidence. So it's definitely a pleasure to be on here, and I certainly learn something new every single time, usually quite a few new things. So it's been great.
And it's fun to listen to you, too.
Interest on security. I don't know. The Fed buys it, government, it buys interest. What it does is the Federal Reserve, it comes mainly through interest on government securities that it's bought on the open market.
Yeah.
Look,
well, good night, Valerie. We're going to obviously continue on with the conversation. So get your kiddos
absolutely.
Off to bed.
Carry on. Yep, carry on. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks for hanging out.
Here's
Well,
one
we
here.
started part two of this show as well.
Wait a minute.
Government securities are treasury bills. But the thing is where is the payments on the interest going to? That's what needs to be found out.
I can tell you. Wait a minute. I can tell you exactly where
the Federal Reserve. That's who.
Yeah, but who is the Federal Reserve?
Well, yeah,
it's a private bank. It's a central bank of England.
A part of it, yes. But if you go up there and Google and put in YouTube Walter Burian, CAFR 1, he's a 40-year veteran of a federal accountant. That's a whistleblower. He's a whistleblower. Well, I think he's dead now. But he's dead now. But he explains in detail, Walter Burian of CAFR 1.
I got a friend of mine. I got a friend. His son works for the Federal Reserve. I'm gonna ask some questions.
If you go out there and look up his documentaries, he'll explain in detail how they've spent on all these trillions of fucking dollars over the decades.
Okay, guys, take turns. We got like 3 different people trying to talk at the same time, and that doesn't work out here on radio.
Well, what I'm trying to explain is that if you go and listen to his documentaries, he is a federal financial expert, or was, like I said, he's dead now. But he explains where all this money is created, how they're sitting on it, and if they would release it, nobody in this country would ever have to pay taxes again. Go look it up. It's simple.
Sling, I got a friend. His son works for the Federal Reserve in St. Louis. I'm gonna ask him some questions, and I'll report.
What's he do there?
Go look at this guy up first before you ask the questions. Go read his documentaries, and then you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Pretty simple. I'm not an accountant, okay, but I know numbers. Okay, I know numbers. Mm-hmm. There's a start right there in the chat room. You start right there. 2-hour documentary.
Well, look, here's the deal. Why do you think President Kennedy got assassinated? Because he was going to.
One of the
reasons is he was going to go after the Fed.
Yeah, and people say Castro was pissed off at him, so it's a flip of the coin.
So that's true, but he was going to. You go listen to some of his speeches, and he was going to go after the Fed.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Executive Order 11001, I think it was.
Well, if we owe the Bank of England money, then good goddamn bank, you got a bad debt here. We ain't paying. What you gonna do?
We ain't paying off no debt. You already did when you were born.
When I was born, I was not born subjected to the Bank of England. And what they gonna do? Come get my ass?
No, you work for a living.
Yes, you were. Once your parents sign that damn birth certificate.
Well, some parents, back in the day, some entry was made in the Bible. So all of us are not subjected to the Bank of England then, right?
Yeah, but wait a minute. But the Bible is not a corporate entity. When you was born, when I was born, I'm 59. I was born in '64. Okay, the United States of America was a corporate entity, and that's where all this bullshit with the birth certificates and all this garbage came from. Okay, once you sign, that you're the deal, and you're a product of the United States government.
But what I'm saying is, some people was born under birth certificates. Some was a Bible entry.
And your mother, your mother was a victim of fraud, and your father was a victim of fraud when they signed those birth certificates.
They didn't sign a birth certificate; they had a Bible.
No. I mean, now when you sign a birth certificate, you are a victim of fraud, and your child is a victim of fraud. Because they come in and they come in and they say sign this, and your mother and father are in not a very good frame of mind or a logical frame of mind. And the other thing is that they do not explain the whole aspect of the birth certificate or the contract that you are signing, because a birth certificate is a contract. They only let you see the certificate part of that contract, not the rest of it.
All right. Most states we have 72 hours to back out of a contract. So you suppose a parent come in after 12 hours and say, I don't want to be in this contract. Now what?
But they don't know. They don't know. They don't tell you. You really think they're going to tell you that kind of stuff? No, they're not.
But isn't it a contract supposed to...
Okay, sir. You'll take your child, send them to CPS, probably lock you up.
Wait a minute. But for a contract to be illegal, doesn't it have to spell out the terms in great detail? What kind of detail is there on the birth certificate other than when you were born?
Absolutely.
But they lied to you. That's the only problem is that they lied to you.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand. What am I contracting for when none of the details of what I'm contracting for are on a birth certificate?
Now, wait a minute. Here's another question. Suppose it's a 15-year-old that's giving birth. A 16-year-old can't enter into a legal contract.
Sarge.
Yes.
You sign that birth certificate. That is a contract. That is the signature for the contract that they do not tell you about. So you have got a contract.
So how can I be held liable for a contract about which I don't know the terms?
You don't know that the birth certificate is a contract. You don't know that the birth certificate is the contract.
But they are obligated to tell me the terms of the contract and put them on the document.
That's why you're a victim of fraud, and your child is a victim of fraud.
Answer my question. Answer my question. If the child is 16-year-old, a 16-year-old can't legally enter into a contract.
But you're not born when you're
your
16 years old.
Entered you in, your
that's
parents.
You got kids that's being born 16 years old. You can't enter into a legal contract because you're not of legal age, but you can be tried as an adult when you commit a crime. There's
but having a baby
you can't
is
have
not
it one
committing
way
a crime,
or the other.
Lord.
You know, that's the issue I have.
Having
the
a baby
16-year-old can be charged as an adult in one instance, but they're not old enough to enter into a contract as an adult on the other.
16-year-old.
That doesn't make any sense.
Fraud. You're right. It's fraud, Bianchi and Sarge. What do you think people like me and they're all shouting about? You know, we're screaming about and trying to tell people about this stuff. Nobody will listen.
If a 16-year-old.
So if it's fraud, then it's null and void.
That's right.
No, it's
so
not.
That birth is null. That contract is null and void.
Your parents entered you into the contract legally because they signed that birth certificate, and they did not know that they were signing a contract.
So how can they be held liable for submitting me to the rigors of a contract about which they don't know that they're entering me into?
You don't have to be a United States corporation. Tell me you don't want to be a private anymore.
Let's talk about the mother. Like, okay, the mother just spent hours and hours and hours in labor and had this baby and is recovering from it and now needs to sign upon this agreement that, yeah, your baby needs a Social Security number, and we need to get them into the freaking fold. You know, like, does a woman that just had a baby and is recovering from that, is she mentally competent in order to realize what she's doing? That she's signing her child on to being a debt slave to the government? You know, she probably doesn't.
Well, the father signs it too. He's not in going to labor.
If they know Suppose they don't know the father, so I guess it's a half a contract then, huh?
Yeah. I'm thinking the same too. Okay, I'm looking at it from the standpoint.
Okay. When I was there for the birth of my godchild, the father was like, he was there in the delivery room, but he may as well have been a zombie. He could barely even be coaxed to, like, cut the umbilical cord. He was so shell-shocked from the witness of birth that he was a couple.
Well, wait a minute, didn't you just say the woman was also a zombie from going through the drugs, the drugs they administer and all the trauma from being given in childbirth? She's the same way this guy was, or probably even worse.
The father witnessing is also traumatized. He's like, holy shit.
Okay, so you got two traumatized people who are not mentally competent to enter anybody into a contract. So how can I be held liable for being entered into a contract by two mentally incompetent people?
And not only that, what about Jerry Springer when they say you are not the father? So what is a half a contract?
Maury Povich, not Jerry Springer.
Okay, I'm thinking this through. I'm thinking this through logically and legally. Look, we've got child actors who are minors. They are contracted by studios. Their parents or their guardians sign a contract on their behalf since they are minors, and they cannot knowingly enter into a contract. The contract which they sign, the document they sign, details in great specificity what is expected of the child being undergoing this contract. Nothing on the birth certificate fits that by any possibility, considering it obligates me to this tremendous overarching influence of a government that is unconstitutional and illegal. I'm trying to understand how we can possibly be held to such a contract.
Did you ever ask?
Case in point, Willis.
You're telling me that's what happened.
Case in point, Gary Coleman in the TV action that he played. He was under a child contract. I tell you another one. What's her name? Temple. What's her first name?
Shirley.
Temple. Yeah.
Shirley Temple.
Shirley Temple.
Yes. Any contract to be binding must be specific. You can't just say, has to be, well, we're going to get your kid in, want to get him in Social Security, and it's not even listed on the document as to how you get on Social Security by virtue of signing the contract. Where are the details?
It's fraud,
and yet it's supposed to be a contract? That's what the government's going to take. Wait a minute. If I don't fulfill the obligations of the contract, the government's going to take me to court. Now, I assume they're going to bring out this contract I signed to, and they're going to show the specific obligations to which my parents have obligated me, and then say, this is how you violated the contract that your parents obligated you to, and nothing's on the paper but date of birth and where I was born.
No.
Did you make people like you, Sarge, ask questions? You'll just create a war.
If it's fraud,
I'm asking questions
There's a simple
now.
way to explain it. I can help you with this. I really can.
One at a time.
Explain.
Gibson, Gibson, you were saying something, and then
let Ron
Somebody tell me how if it's fraud, how it's still binding.
Ron, can you explain it, please?
It is not fraud. Okay, can you hear me clear enough? Turn this board up a little bit. I've been having problems. Anyway.
Yes, Ron Rick, I can hear you. You got the floor.
All right. Okay, contract law. Okay, it's a fun gameplay. I hope you enjoy it. Here's the deal. When a child is under contract, the child technically is not under the contract. The parent is, okay? The parent is the authorized keeper of the product, which is the child, okay? So they are responsible for the child, what's well-being, what it does, how it lives, and all things. You live that. So what would happen if there was a breach of contract with the child, which most times it's not going to be one. Children don't have the ability to walk out of a contract. They just don't do it. They do it, they'll get in trouble. Mom and daddy beat their ass. You know, like the Jacksons, their daddy, he was a motherfucker too. Anyway, so the contract, what happens is you got to understand, the parents have power of attorney. They have it automatically. It just automatically plays in the game when they're born. But you're just a licensed caregiver. You're not technically the parent. You are the producer and product owner. But you're not after 30 days after the product has been assembled and produced, which would be birth of a child. In 30 days, the state will claim the child, okay? But you are still the authorized caregiver. And you're responsible for the child. So everything the child does get into, the child technically can't sign the contract at all. Can't sign shit. But the parent can, you know what I'm saying? Like when they sign you up for school and shit, and they sign all these documents to let them do whatever, teach you all kinds of retarded shit you shouldn't be learning. Well, it's because your parents said it was okay. Same thing with a business contract like that. That's what happens.
Saw that 713 number has been holding his hand up, and so I just brought 713 in.
The key thing
713, who are you?
I'm right here. Hi, everybody. I just want to say thank you for welcoming me in the show, and I'm new at the show. It's my first time, so I just wanted to tell everybody thank you for inviting me in the show. My name is Maria.
Well,
hi, Maria. Good to have you on. Welcome to the show for the first time. Welcome to the chaos. Glad you made your way here.
Educated, though.
The thing you just said, Ron Rick, the key word is state. Every state are different. There's no federal contract law bill or law.
No.
It's dependent upon the state.
For that.
You got 50 states. 50 states. They all are different.
Somewhat, but it's all the same, in a way. The wording's different, it's mixed different, but it's still the same gig. Because they all look the same when you think communism. Well,
you don't know if all states are the same. Some states may allow the child to put an X.
Well,
wow.
you
We
can
only
sign
got a minute and a half left of this live broadcast already. 90 seconds. So just want to let you all know that if you're out there listening and you haven't called in yet, please do so, 563-999-3698 within the next minute, because we'll be going into overtime. And then we have a Skype number also raising their hand. Maria, I just put you on. And so I just want to bring in Skype number. Let's find out. Skype number, who are you? Who do we got?
John Doe.
Oh, hey, John Doe. I thought you might make your way to the show tonight. And hey, Maria, before everybody gets to talking, Maria, did you have any comments or anything you wanted to say? I want to give you the floor as a new caller to be able to say anything you want to say.
Keep up doing the good work and doing good for our country, for our American citizens and all around the world. God bless y'all.
Thank you.
Well, God bless you. We have to fight for our liberty every way we can and get these voices out there. And so I appreciate you calling in for sure. And feel free to chime in when you want to. If something, tickles your belly button and you want to talk, just chime in, okay, Maria?
Keep inviting me.
Maria, whereabouts? I think I recognize your voice. Whereabouts are you from?
I'm from Houston, Texas.
Oh, you're from Texas. I thought I was recognizing. I know another Maria, but I know another one that's the same name, but she's from Florida. That sounds like you, but maybe whatever.
Amen.
Okay, let me get in. Let me get in here on this contract shit. Okay. Yeah, we got 50 states, 50 sets of laws, supposedly. But do you realize that every state, every county, every municipality in this nation is all incorporated? They are all corporations.
Yep.
That's how come all of this shit is going down the way it is because they have all become part of the corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, states are allowed to exist due to the U.S. Constitution. Cities, towns, and villages are allowed. Wait a minute. Cities, towns, and villages are allowed to exist due to the state constitution. I mean, they
are. Of course they are. But guess what? They are all corporate entities. They are all corporate entities.
Yes, you got towns that are incorporated in the states, but there's not the kind of corporation you're talking about.
If we weren't these corporate entities, then we would not be able to be sucked into this New World Order cabal agenda. That is the whole goal. Erase state sovereignty, put it all into the federal government, incorporate the federal government, include them into the cabal, which is the, World Economic Forum, the United Nations, one world government. You can't have state sovereignty if you're going to be controlled by this one world government and the one world bankings. Hello, Rothschilds. Hello, Rockefellers. Soros is a puppet of that. All of this stuff. So, that's the whole thing. Like, we cannot get our freedom back and our liberty back unless we abandon all of it. All of it. Federal Reserve, gone. Take back our constitutional authority for our currency, to have our own currency, to be sovereign states, to be a sovereign country, independent of this new world order. We need to reject all of it. We cannot play a part in it. But the thing is this is going to be really, really, really hard to do so, because at every single level, the cabal is infiltrated. The World Economic Forum, just look at everybody, every politician, every media conglomerate, social media, health, the World Health Organization, all of it. So, every single one. If you're going to have a company, you can't survive unless you sign into this World Economic Forum bullshit. The World Economic, Forum companies that are in line with the cabal will buy you up. You cannot be an independent. They will buy you up. Look at all these organic food companies. Burt's Bees, Ben and Jerry's. All of these local, independent companies, and now guess what? They've been bought up by these huge financial, big corporations, and all of them, if you look at their CEOs, you look at their board, you look at their shareholders, all of them are World Economic Forum. All of them. And so it's a huge undertaking. It's not going to be easy to break free from all of that and get our sovereignty back.
Well, we've been talking about it for the last 10 years.
Governor Huckabee kicked Chinese out of her state of Arkansas. So you own this land. That there is a powerful woman.
There should be no country ever, no country at all, not just China, but no country should be able to own land here in the United States. That is our sovereign territory. No country should be able to own it.
We don't even have borders anymore.
When you got things like Larry Fink and BlackRock, that's another group that's in with the World Economic Forum. It's BlackRock.
Yep. And when you get mail in the mail, all large capital letters, your name, when you get a bill, you are you're a slave to the system, the Federal Reserve banking cartel.
That's right. You ever sign your name in capital letters? Tell me the one time that you've signed your name since you was a kid and learned how to write your name. Have you ever signed it in capital letters? No.
I don't know nothing about that kind of stuff. I have no knowledge of what you're all talking about. I have no clue.
Yeah. All I do, gunslinger, is put an X.
Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna start putting an X too.
Well, you know what? Here's the funny thing, because with my name, my actual on my physical birth certificate, which disintegrated long ago because I'm 50 years old. My mother gave me my name, Lori lowercase ANN, as my first name and no middle name. But you know what? My U.S. name is Lori, middle name Ann, because apparently they didn't know how to fucking handle a hyphen in a first name back then. So quite literally, when I sign things as my given name, Lori Ann.
There's a way.
But
there's a way to get out of it.
You know what?
There was a guy that finally figured it out.
That's not my legal name. So I cannot be bounded by the U.S. corporation because I never signed my name.
If you look at the date they registered you, right, on your birth certificate, listen to this. If you look at your date they registered you on your birth certificate and you look at your time of birth, you can say that's a different person and get out of it. Let's clear you.
Exactly.
A guy did that. He cleared his name. He became a whole other person.
Exactly. My legal name, my Social Security, U.S. government corporation name is Lori, middle name Ann, and that's false. because that was not my given name at birth. And, so therefore, any contract, any obligation is under the name Lori, middle name Ann, not my given name, not who I really am. My given name is Lori lowercase ANN.
We got it.
Not
we're sending you to prison. We're sending you to prison for fraud. We don't care. We don't care. We're sending you to prison for fraud.
Obligating me under a false name.
Yeah, but we don't care. We're the government, and we're sending you to prison for fraud. Because this is the way we do.
Well, the fraud isn't on me. The fraud is on them.
No, it's you. It's got to be.
It's got to be. We do nothing wrong.
We're the government. We're the government. We don't do nothing wrong. We know everything.
Even my driver's license. I signed it. I signed it. Lori lowercase Ann. Even though the name on the driver's license on my real ID is based on my
Social Security. I have a box. There's a box. I have a box in my driver's license, and it's got my name signed inside the box. But what?
I heard about that, but I don't think that works all the time, though.
Very well.
I heard about that.
Yes, I have proven it twice. Yes, it does work. It works very well. It is a legal document. It's called the Four Corner Rule. And the signature's only good for what's inside the box. Anything outside the box is not obstructed to that signature. So tough shit.
You want to know what else I did? I went in, how you can get your free credit report and you can dispute, your alternate name, otherwise known as, right? If you get your credit report, you can see all your alternate names and you can dispute it and you can go, nope, that's not my name, that's not my name, that's not my name, that's not my name. That's what I did. So on my credit report,
you get a bunch of free money.
The only one, the only legitimate one is my actual real name, not the Social Security name.
Go to Treasury Direct there and sign up for an account.
No.
Federal Reserve.
No. You want free money from the government? Free money? No shit. Seriously. Here's what you do. You go to the Treasury Department. You go to Bond Calculator on their website. And on your birth certificate, there's a cuspid number. Type that number into the bond calculator and hit the enter button and see what it comes back and tell you what you were worth.
It's called a QSIP number. Yeah.
Yeah. Cuspid, QSIP, whatever you want to call it. It's your goddamn ear tag.
You used to be able to go to Fidelity.com and do it, but they shut it down.
But so you're familiar with it, Joe, right? You understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, though. They don't have a clue that it's actually real shit. It's a bond. You're collateral for the government.
You discharge all your debts. You discharge all your debts with it, too.
Yeah, you can do all kinds of shit with it. But nobody knows about that.
I mean, look, here's the deal. You guys don't know, but Ron had his problems getting a loan at one point, right, Ron? Because, they wanted Ron to be in debt.
Absolutely. Even though I'm worth a slight chunk of money.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he can create the loan with his signature.
Well, yeah, I could go sign a loan right now and buy $1 million home. Like it ain't shit. Just walk in the door, sign it, and leave. Be done. Hand me the keys. But I was trying to buy a trailer for like $7,000 to $8,000, a cargo trailer, and they rejected me because I had no debt. And I said, well, I had loans to you guys before. I paid you off on time. Never missed a payment. I own 3 properties. I own a massive amount of equipment. I own 3 businesses. I mean, they're very well. So, I mean, I don't really need the loan. Really, I don't. But I don't get it. It just don't make no sense to me. Why? And I have a good credit rating. Okay, you see what I mean? I have an excellent credit rating, but they wouldn't loan me no money because I wasn't in debt. You know what they told me to do? Get a credit card. Get a credit card.
Yep.
Yeah, just pay every month. Just don't get. Yeah. So I had to go through this whole physical effect a mental effect of using this fucking credit card and turn around and make a goddamn payment on every month to make you motherfuckers happy to show that I'm going to make a fucking payment on time for you. You know, where is the security risk? But that it's getting worse than that now. I mean, I hate telling people about this. I do, but it's coming. Banks ain't wanting to loan money on cars no more at all. They have went up significantly fucking high. People are not very stable with money anymore because they don't know where the next dollar's coming from half the time. You know, you might have a job or you're going good, fine and dandy. That's great. That's cool. But all of a sudden, everything around you goes skyrocket fucking expensive. And it doesn't matter that money you're making. It's not like you're making that kind of money anymore because everything's around you. You know, and some people don't care.
I got my car for free. My car from the finance company. Yep, they screwed with the wrong one with me. I paid them a little bit of money because, you know, everything costs a little bit, you know, with their Federal Reserve notes. But after that, I'm not paying them no more. Bam. Discharge the debt.
Right. Well, I mean, But I don't owe shit. I mean, I generally pay cash or something, and things I did, you know, ever have loans on, I paid them off quick. You know, but I do have a good credit rating. You know, I mean, it's not that I jump and pay a bunch of stuff off, but if I want to get, you know, I got to get it paid off and get it done because it's got to move somewhere else. Something else got to happen for something else. This is how fucking business works, right? Well, anyway, but I had to have my pops co-sign for me for that fucking trailer, man. I'm like, God damn, here I'm 55 fucking years old, and I got to have my dad co-sign for me. Fuck me. You know, and I've dealt with millions of fucking dollars. You know what I mean? Millions of dollars. It fucks my brain up. It's just unbelievable. You know, I could have $10 million fucking dollars in the bank, but then I got to loan me $7,000 about a fucking trailer. Does that make any fucking sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck me. So, you know.
You got your TVA account, too. You know, it's all kinds of stuff. People don't know about this stuff. They don't know.
Right.
They just don't know.
Right. They have no clue. Right. But the thing is, the whole thing, the birth certificate's bond. And I found this shit out by accident. This ain't made up shit. You know, I didn't hear it on the fucking internet. This actually happened. I seen it on my birth certificate. You know, printed by American Banknote Company. What am I supposed to just look at it and say, well, okay, whatever? Fuck no. First thing in my brain comes to, what does a banknote company have to do with a fucking birth certificate? What does that mean? That's the kind of person I am, you know what I mean? That don't make sense. Well, how are they familiar? How do they bind together and recognize each other? How is that? So what do? You go to Google. First thing you're going to go to the fucking Google God and say, Google God, tell me who the fuck are these people? Oh, it's a printing company in Pennsylvania. Okay, fuck, there's a phone number. I think I'm going to call them. So I did. And this fine sounding, nice, beautiful, lovely, you know, like Laurie Ann here. Her kind of voice, real lovely, beautiful voice. And so I said, ma'am, what do you print?
Think I have a lovely, beautiful voice?
Absolutely.
I actually hate my voice.
Really? Don't
understand why
don't
anybody would want to listen to my voice, but I appreciate the compliment.
Well, it takes me about the first hour of your show to get warmed up, but I'm fine after that. I'm okay. Anyway, I'm kidding, Laurie.
Am I like Roz on Frasier? I'm going to bring Frasier up again.
Oh, boy, we just lost 30 minutes.
Am I like the Roz on Frasier?
Yeah, there you go.
The
right.
callers like to
All
listen to her instead of Frasier.
Right. You know, but your mental breakdown. But anyway, what was I talking about?
Except for my mental breakdown.
And you, one of your rules, your house rules, is not to fuck with other people's mind like mine. So you have broken one of your rules. You know that you're working for a timeout. Anyway, but I'm talking about the bonds. The Federal Reserve is a private bank it's called the Central Bank of England. I know some of you, maybe Joe, maybe you know about that one too.
Controlled by the Rothschilds. Yep, the Rothschilds from hundreds of years ago.
The J.P. Morgans, the Morgan family.
They are at the heart of the cabal.
Yeah, there's a group of them. They all went to Jekyll Island to fuck it all up the rest of the way. Yeah. So, you know, 1913, the Federal Reserve Act, which makes no sense at all whatsoever. Only thing is, says, well, we can fuck your government, and you're okay with it, so you're giving us consent to do it. Thank you. And that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what they do. Man, look, the thing that drives me out of my fucking mind. And it's not that I'm a tightwad over money or nothing like that, but owning a business. And I had to pay to get my tax in the state of Missouri, okay? I had to pay these motherfuckers to take money for them. And I asked you to do that. Why is it I have to pay you money to steal money for you? You just looked at me like a deer in bucket headlights, man.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
Remember, Lorianne, last week or a couple weeks ago I was telling you about the APA accounts and developer accounts and everything, how I could make my own credit cards and everything and spending cards? That's basically some of what the other half of what he's talking about. It's that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, that's right. So,
but it's all a part of the cabal, though, you guys. You got to realize that the Rothschilds have been in this for a long time. And if you look at the history of the Rothschilds, they are part of the, back, hundreds of years ago, where they are fakers. They are fake Jews. They are absolutely fake Jews. They changed their names from originally. They were against God. They are Satanists. And when they were kicked out and then when they were banished, they changed their names, which one of them is Rothschild. And way back when, they vowed revenge toward Russia and anybody, Protestants, you name it. They vowed revenge. They vowed that they will control everything. They will implant themselves into a new world government. They will control everything. They will control the media. They will control governments all across the globe. These are fake Jews that we're talking about here.
Well,
the
let me ask you a
Rothschilds are
question.
the fake Jews, the ones that actually do reject God, but they pretend. The family that the Rothschilds come from were the great deceivers from hundreds of years ago. They were the deceivers. They were liars. They actually worship Baal and not God. And this is how they've sprung. And they devised this plan. Their families that sprung off into Europe and into Russia and then eventually into America, these are the fake Jews that we're talking about. These parade themselves as Jews. They deceive everybody. They are literally the Antichrist. The Rothschilds, I believe, the Rothschilds are the instrument of the upcoming Antichrist. That's what I believe.
Sammy Davis? What about Sammy Davis Jr. and Whoopi Goldberg? Are they fake Jews?
They are evil to the fucking core.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. Evil.
Sammy Davis and the Whoopi. Remember, they were
Whoopi
Jews.
and Sammy. Sammy and Whoopi.
Well, remember how evil Feinstein was. That bitch is a seed of Satan. Okay, her entire life was dedicated to destroying the Second Amendment of this country, the very country that she lived in. Imagine that.
Yeah.
You seen her on YouTube. If I had my way, Mr. and Mrs. America would turn them all in.
They say they had to use 2 dump trucks of dirt on her grave, and its casket's still coming up, Gunslinger.
Diane Feinstein, Grim Reaper on line 1.
Dominos. Sorry about that.
Turn them all in, Mr. and Mrs. America. Turn them all in.
It's like we can't even talk about it that way, We cannot call it. It is absolutely forbidden to call out the Rothschilds for being the fakes that they are, the Satan worshippers that they are.
Why?
They claim to be Jews, but they are not. They are exactly what the Bible warned against, that these will be fakes, these will be charlatans, these will be deceitful. they will claim themselves to be Jews and they are not. And that's exactly who the Rothschilds are. And they've had a vendetta against everybody ever since. They want to control every facet of life. And if you look at it, look who is, the key players in the World Economic Forum. Klaus Schwab is one of them. Klaus Schwab is like, 33rd degree freaking, they've infiltrated everything. They've infiltrated the Illuminati. They've infiltrated the Grand Masons. They've infiltrated the Jesuit order. They've infiltrated everything, pretending. They are the liars. They are the deceivers. They are the thieves. They are the people that cannot be trusted. And yet the Rothschild centuries have been, they don't care. They literally say they don't care. They don't care who sits as president. They don't care who sits as prime minister. They don't care because they control them, because they control the money through all these world banks. And, and guess what? If you're a country that wants to break free from the Rothschilds World Bank hold, you will be assassinated. Your country will be bombed to shit.
Is,
if you try to go against them.
When the U.S. dollar crashes, you can go out and go after them. They can't hire no assassin. What they gonna pay them in?
Gold.
No. What's the gold gonna be turned
Where's
in?
Sandy, Oregon at? Anybody know?
What?
Sandy, Oregon. S-A-N-D-Y, Oregon.
Sandy, Oregon. That is just southeast of Portland.
Thanks to Whoopi.
Okay. There's a place called Suburban Auto Group. I want to go there because they sell them trunk monkeys. I got to have one.
Oh, God.
Have you seen that video yet on those? I put a link in the chat room. Trunk monkeys. Hang on, let me. Here, so I'm put the link in the chat.
That's new to me, and I'm right here in Oregon.
Oh, you've never seen one of them? Man, trunk monkeys are the shit. You should have one in your car. Seriously. I mean, these people sold me on it. The Suburban Auto Group in Sandy, Oregon. There's the link right. There's the link for that. You get a chance to scope it out. Yeah. Buy my next Chevy. Man, I don't like Chevy, so I'm just get a trunk monkey.
I'm not getting it. I opened up the link, but I'm just not. The biggest scheme in town, Walter Burren.
Yeah, it's a Walter Burren, for one.
The U.S. government collective wealth disclosed, a documentary that for the first time clearly focuses on the complete takeover by collective government of the investment wealth core operation. Government now owns it all. This is what I mean. This is the Rockefellers. This is the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds.
That's the link I gave you.
Goal. They control all of it.
Okay.
They've controlled all of it. They funded both sides of the French Revolution. If you look at the French Revolution, they funded both sides of that. That's how they gained control over both governments, because they loaned money to each one. Didn't matter who won or lost, but whoever lost, well, they're even more indebted, to the Rothschilds even then. In America, same thing. They are who is really in control of our Federal Reserve. Department of Treasury, you name it. If you start looking at the Rothschild family tree and you look at how many positions they hold politically, economically, militarily, even in education, the heads of all of these departments of our government, you will find the Rothschilds involved in all of it. everywhere. And George Soros is a descendant of those original Rothschilds. It's just a change of the last name. They changed their fucking name so that they won't be tied to it.
I'll tell you in a minute while I go get my tea. They give me something to eat. I'm hungry.
Hey.
You know what?
If you're not talking,
whoever's talking, you sound like you're about 100 miles away.
Hey, hey, listen.
I ain't hiding nothing over there.
Whenever you're not, listen to me, everybody. If you're not talking, mute yourself, because with the background noise, the NSA will have a tough time trying to determine what it is that we're saying against the government.
Talking to the dog.
That's true.
Diesel Cecil.
Hello, NSA.
This is Nathan
Hello,
Rothschild.
NSA.
This is Nathan Rothschild.
I am not your friend. I'm just going to put it out there. NSA that is listening right now, I am not your friend. Go ahead and target me for my free speech and my political opinion. Good fucking luck. I'm just going to say.
I'm going to find you. How many times could we say the F word tonight? Blog Talk Radio.
We could probably say it a lot more.
Did I come at a
bad
bad time?
Is my favorite word, and
did I come at a bad
I tried
time?
to refrain, but yeah, it is
Nathan
my favorite word.
Amster.
But if we want to say that the Rothschilds are the F word, then okay, every time I say fuck, I mean the Rothschilds. There you go.
Number 57.
Should I continue?
Guys, why do you guys talk about my family like that, man? Fuck, what'd I do to you? Except fuck you out of your whole life.
You need to dissolve your family. And you can step away from your family. You're not obligated to be loyal to your
Just
family.
like getting a fucking delete key. You're good
and
to go.
they're evil Satan worshippers. There's no obligation on your part to stick with them.
Bloodline, the blood oath. The tombs of skull and bones.
I was up in the air last night talking to Satan. I said, if you get me there to Chicago tonight, I'll be happy. And if you get me out of fucking Chicago, you're fucked up. So, anyway.
Chicago, a beautiful country town.
Yeah, I liked it. It was fun. I was there for about 2.5 hours, and I jumped back on the bird and came back home. Ain't that nice?
Just the smell alone will keep you coming back.
Yeah, it's a pretty rough country. Yeah.
I hear that. It's been a long time. It's probably been about, like almost 30 years since I've been to Chicago. And 30 years ago, you know what? I actually got off the plane and I rode the subway system, whatever it's called, walked downtown Chicago, and people could obviously tell I was not from there because we're hauling our luggage, and they were friendly, and I had fun. I could go almost anywhere, and I had fun. I did not have to worry about, I really didn't worry about being mugged or shot, at the time. Like, that's how times have changed. Like, I actually had fun in Chicago. Me and the people that I was with, we went all over the place, and like even the homeless people were like, "Hey, where are you from?" And we're up having conversations with the homeless people. It was fun.
I didn't see outside much.
Did you have fun?
Yes, I didn't, but I made some money. So I got out the plane, got a big SUV things, a Mercedes SUV. Shuttle bus, whatever you call it. Went to the gig, jumped on the kid, did 2 hours, got off, jumped back in that same vehicle, went back to the same
You got
airplane.
the Bulls game? Did you go to the Bulls game?
No, I had to go play a show.
Oh.
Somebody got sick, and I called into
I wish I could have seen a Bulls game. I've never been that much in sports, but I love the Chicago Bulls, back in the Michael Jordan days and Scottie Pippen and stuff like that. Like, oh, man, those were the days.
Yeah, I'm like I'm a rent-a drummer. You can rent one of me, and for instantaneously be there anywhere in the continental United States. Yeah. So, pretty cool. I mean, if yours breaks down, it might be an emergency. You need a drummer. Drummers are a very critical thing you have in life. I mean, you got to play the drums of war. I mean, it's just the way it is. Somebody's got to do it. I take that risk every time I walk on the stage. I do. I take that risk of being beaten.
Oh, you had fun.
Shit, I have fun every time I play, no doubt about it. But, like I said, it's like kind of a rush moment deal. I only had 3 hours to get there. Then I had a bird on its way to pick me up, take me on, across town bus deal. And the flight wasn't bad. It's cool, but, I smelled Chicago. I think I was about 100 miles before I hit Chicago. I smelled it. So,
Yeah, it's been a long time. I'm sure, back when I went, back in the day when I went to Chicago, you couldn't smell it.
Well, I mean, I've been to Chicago and spent a couple days there and got cruised around
Portland.
it, but like yesterday, I had
just
I had
like Portland.
a
You
talk
drive
show.
up, if I were to drive up to Portland right now, I would probably smell it 30 miles away. And that's why I left, because it was getting to that point, and now it's become ridiculous. It really has. Like
it's a shithole.
I read an article here, here in Portland. They are going to, Portland school districts want to eliminate giving zeros or fails to people that do not actually turn in their assignments. So you don't actually do your homework, you don't turn in your assignments, and you cannot be failed or given a zero for it. Like, this is the kind of fucked up, insanity.
Let me show you something. See how deep that is? Uh-huh.
I thought there was more than that.
What?
I thought there was more than that.
No. There was. I only
Somebody's
took out
trying
a couple
to talk,
bets.
but it sounds like you're getting cut off.
Give it back to me, and I'll show you. See this rim here?
Yeah.
It was all the way up to there.
Okay. Well, I didn't see that.
It wasn't. I could see it because there was already
family
stuff out. Take it out.
conversation.
Yeah. You're unlocked.
It seems like a background conversation. I don't know if maybe it was Mary trying to speak up, or something, but...
You're the one who started talking to me first.
Well, I've
there's some kind of background conversation going on that I'm not following.
Oh, my whole family. I'm done.
Okay, honey.
Bingo. Where's Sarge?
Was you listening to me fight with my wife?
Yes, we were.
I want you to.
Is she back?
Okay. Yeah, today.
Is your wife back? Oh, from vacation?
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it might have been Maria, because Maria called in, and I thought maybe she was trying to say something, but no, it was your wife in the background arguing with you.
Not really arguing, just she's pissed about something, when you get back from a trip, you're pissed about something that didn't work out, She thinks she's missing some of her weed, so she's a little pissed off. So.
Well, I gotta say, one of my ex-boyfriends that I lived with, I don't know if some of you all heard me tell the story about, how he, threw me down, pinned me down, choked me, and my last breaths were telling him he was a fucking piece of shit. I was yelling it, but it was only coming out as a whisper while he was choking me. But this is the same guy that I came back from visiting Minnesota after like 12 days. And I lived in Eugene, and it's, like a hour and a half at least drive from the Portland airport to Eugene. And I get home, and I really have to piss, right? Like, I've been in the car after getting my luggage and all that, and finally get home, and I gotta pee. I walk into the bathroom, and the toilet was disgusting. I mean, we're talking like pubic hairs fused to the piss dribbles, and it was like lined with yellow fucking green fucking slime in the toilet bowl, and I was like, oh my God, can I not even come home to a fucking clean pot to piss in? Like, that was one of the biggest fights we had, prior to our breakup fight, and him choking me and stuff. But I was like, you are fucking getting your ass in there and you're cleaning that goddamn toilet for me right now, because I gotta piss and I am not pissing on that fucking disgusting toilet.
66.
Like, I've only been gone for 12 days, and you got fucking, pubic infused piss driblets all over the goddamn thing, and it was disgusting, I'm like, and I was paying the rent, by the way. He was only working part-time as a fucking, fucking,
68.
I was paying the majority of the rent and the bills and stuff, and I'm just like, you know what? Fuck you, motherfucker.
70.
I come home from 12 days being gone. I deserve a clean pot to piss in, and this is disgusting. This is utterly fucking disgusting.
72.
Anyway, then that's just what it reminded me of. Anyway, do I have a right to say that? Yes, I do. Even as men, you need to clean your own fucking toilets.
73.
Lorianne, did you ever pee?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
all that was important.
Cleaned the fucking toilet.
74.
He went in. I ordered him. I'm like, you fucking ass is cleaning that goddamn
75.
toilet. And then, yes, when he was done, I pissed like crazy, because I had to, because I had been holding it for quite a while. I was not going to take a piss in that nasty ass toilet, You gotta understand how fucked up this dude was, man. Like, he was probably one of the biggest mistakes of a relationship I ever had. But I actually, it was one of those things where, oh man, when it was our breakup fight, which is what led to him coming at me from across the room and pinning me down with his legs and choking me, and I was losing consciousness and telling him he was nothing, he was a piece of shit over and over and over again, in a whisper. It was after that I have always said a single woman always needs to have a redneck friend, because my best friend Dave at the time, he rallied the troops. I called him up. I didn't call the police. I called my best friend Dave. And then he rallied his redneck friends, and they came down. And they're like, do you need us to disappear him? And I'm like, nope, so long as he gets his shit out of here right now and leaves, then you don't need to disappear him. But if he hadn't, he was scared shitless. I swear to God, if he almost pissed down his leg, because he knew, I brought down the troops, man. That motherfucker, he was scared shitless. He gathered up his shit and he left. And I'm like, if he gave any resistance, if he tried to fuck with me, the dude would have been disappeared, put it that way. And every single girl needs friends like that, man, I will tell you.
Well, I'm sorry to hear what you've been through, dear. I'm so sorry. And I just want to say thank you for inviting me to the show, and I'm going to say good night to everybody.
Oh,
and,
good night.
Good night. I guess we learned from
our
mistakes.
Good night. Thank you for calling in. Yeah, we kind of went down, this is how the show goes, though. We kind of go down weird roads.
You know, we're just going to move forward and hope for the best for our future. Amen.
Amen.
God bless everyone. Thank you. Hi.
God bless, Maria. I hope you call in again, too. It's, usually earlier in the show, it's a little more tame, but as the night goes on.
Yeah, I'm just new to the show, so I'm just trying to figure out what everything is about. But thank you for inviting me in, and it was interesting, and I appreciate it. So I'm going to say good night to you.
Right, take care.
All right.
Good night,
good night, Maria. I appreciate you calling in, and yeah, there's always something to learn here on this show. It takes on a life of its own. Yeah, I mean, I was saying, every single woman needs to have her hillbilly friends, man. Because it wasn't the cops that I wanted to rely on. I relied on my best friend Dave and him calling the troops in, and they were the type of people that were like, yep, if give us the word, we will disappear him. Like, every single woman needs that. Because he was a piece of shit, And that's why I'm still single, because I just don't trust my own judgment. He seemed like a great guy to begin with, and then the whole reason why the fight started was because I busted him talking with an ex-girlfriend of his in Utah, and he was planning on cheating on me. He was planning on going to visit his parents back in Utah, but he was planning on cheating on me with his ex-girlfriend when he went back there. And I found out about it, and I confronted him about it. And that's when he went violent. I didn't lay a hand on him. I hadn't laid a fucking hand on him. I was just, calling him to the carpet because I found out about it. And that's when he almost tried to kill me. Yeah.
Damn.
And, yeah, he could have been disappeared. All I had to do was say the word. And I didn't. I'm like, nope, as long as he packs up his shit and gets the fuck out of here, never to see him again, I'm good with that. And I'm, not a small person. I can defend myself, but, he was 6'2". He had the advantage over me, put it that way. But he practically pissed his pants when my friend Dave brought down the troop. His friend Sean was 6'4", and about 50 pounds more than my ex, and my ex practically pissed his pants at that. I'm like, yeah, this is who I got on my side, motherfucker. And it didn't take long either, It did not take long. They all came down in a fucking heartbeat, man. One call to Dave, and they are all down there within 45 minutes. And given that's like a hour drive, normally in good traffic, and they were there within 45 minutes. Gotta love them. Gotta love them. And this was also a guy that was an asshole to my cat. And my cat ran off because of him. He didn't want to come back home because of that motherfucker who was mean to him.
86.
Fucker.
87.
Just asked because of that one time. He was being a shithead to my cat. Don't fuck with a woman's cat, man.
Yep.
Don't fuck with a woman's cat. You fuck with a woman's cat, you're SOL, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, it didn't
I'm
mean
not too much of a cat person. Cats, I just don't feel they're good watch animals. You know, they're just not. I mean, they live on instinct, really. So, you know, they're good at picking up noises, but after that, they're not going to really protect you or watch your back.
Oh. I just noticed that Donnie raised his hand, so I'm bringing him on while I still can.
Hey, Donnie.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Hey, Donnie.
Hey, you have.
Good to
hello,
see you.
hello.
I know you've been listening for a while. I saw that you raised your hand, so I wanted to bring you on. What you got to say?
Lorianne, hold on. You got to learn to take a good ass whipping once in a while like Cinnamon. I got her, you know, where I can beat her a couple times a week. Everything goes smooth after that. Come on.
Okay, I'm bringing Cinnamon on. I'm unmuting Cinnamon because I think she might want to have a say.
She was on. I did not know she was on.
No.
She was in here.
Don't run now. Don't run now.
I'm heading up to the garage right now looking for the baseball bat.
Uh-oh.
Domestic violence.
Oh, I meant spanking, honey. You know when we
slap
and tickle each other. Oh Lord, I didn't know you were on.
Spanking is a whole.
You didn't know.
Spanking is a.
But she was.
Spanking is a whole different ball game now. Come on now, because spanking could be something that somebody likes.
Yeah.
I will plead
remember.
the fifth on spanking being fun.
Words are now considered domestic
violence. I got to plead
violence.
the fifth on that one.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Well, yeah, you can have verbal abuse.
Yep.
Yeah. That isn't cool. No doubt about it. That's not good.
What are you going to argue? You argue. No, everybody argues. I mean, you know, but that's considered domestic violence. If you argue now.
No,
crazy.
it has to be a kind of a consistent belittling, not an argument that you both have, and it's not like one night you get really pissed off and call her a bunch of nasty names. But in the court you can use that as a restraining order, but it has to be consistent.
I can take you to court, Cinnamon, by always making fun of my little finger.
You don't have a little dingling, do you?
That is
little dingling.
He just off to Never Neverland today.
No. Oh no, everything's fine.
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask this question. Are you a member of the Dickie Doo? The Dickie Doo Club?
Hey, I'm the president, baby. I'm the president of the Dickie Doo Club.
Getting everything revealed tonight.
Yeah, well, I'm too old to lie about it now. He started learning how to read a ruler, I was screwed.
Confessions of late night.
Yes. What happened to your first
Libertarian late confessions.
I was listening to your first show and it got all garbly up. Everybody was garbled up. What happened? Was it blog talk again?
I think it was. And now that I made like an on-the-fly show, which, by the way, is interesting because it's on the same night. So I already had my 2-hour show, and Blog Talk let me set up a second show for 2 hours on the same night.
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
They didn't make you wait until after midnight. I was kind of surprised
I was
on that.
thinking it was after midnight.
Holy shit.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Huh. You might have to try that again sometime.
Yeah, instead of like, bonus hour, just like hang up and go, okay, I'm going to start a new show. That I have 4 hours live.
Yeah, you guys are arguing who's going to do the show, and everybody's arguing. And I thought, wow, they'll never get a show on because everybody wants to put one on. Damn.
I know, but I've been a backup for you, because when you weren't able to put on a show and your show got, Blog Talk interrupted, then a couple of times I've thrown on a show because of that as a backup for you, Yeah, so this is interesting. This is the first time that I think Blog Talk has allowed me to, like, put on another show on the same day. Like, wow.
Well, it worked. That's good.
And the audio hasn't been screwed up. Like I said, the powers that be, because I usually set up my original show, like, by Wednesday or Thursday night, ahead of time. So that gives them time to target my show to fuck with me. But if I do it on the fly, they don't have time to prepare.
Oh.
Did you guys talk about tonight? Because I forgot to bring it up on last night's show. But did you guys talk about the Supreme Court stayed the lower court's ruling that the White House cannot interfere with like Twitter, Facebook, on social media, and demand that they
Ooh, that's another one I wanted to bring up tonight. Yeah.
Now the White House can contact Facebook and say, hey, this is misinformation. We want you to take it down and post it as disinformation, that kind of thing, until the Supreme Court hears the case.
Yeah, they overruled the stay on it. Yeah, which is bullshit. And now they have free reign until the Supreme Court decides to hear it. Yeah.
And I kind of thought that was really kind of funny about the timing of it because of all of the legal hearings that Trump is facing between Georgia and his property evaluations in New York. I said, oh, that's just perfect timing on that one. And did anybody notice what the court went through and they valued the Mar-a-Lago property, $26 million?
Yep.
But one of the newspapers I was reading, and it was a British newspaper. I don't think it was the Daily Mail. I go to a few different ones. Anyway, one of them went down and was and put down, just looked up valuations of properties in Miami, and they valued Mar-a-Lago between 18 and 26 million, and you can only get a 5-bedroom house in Miami for 16 million.
Wow.
Without a pool. Yeah. So that
the minimum,
that's
16 million.
Yeah, I mean, by that logic, I know like Zillow estimates my house to be at like $440,000 now, even though I bought it for $200,000. It's like how the market value
estimation compared to the tax value estimation are very different things. You know, my tax value is very lowered. And so if you go by what Zillow says, you know, hell, if I could sell my house back in $40,000, I'd go for it. But, you know, that's not a real reflection of it. But if you're going to be valuing your property as far as, you know, loans and things go, or, you know, whatever, that's what you have to go on. You know, if you don't have, like, inspectors come in and, you know, go through all that, you go through what is essentially the established market value, which is Zillow. And I think that's what it's about. So, Trump's fault.
I have to...
You know, Zillow overestimates,
on why,
you know, the value of my property itself. So should we sue Zillow? You know, is Zillow liable because they're overvaluing my property? You know.
Well,
come on.
My big thing is,
you know, there's another catch. There's another catch to that. You know, the banks are going to go out and take a look at the property and give it a value, and, you know, before you get a loan. And lo and behold, he got
to my house and look at it. I could get a loan. I could get a home equity loan based on the value that Zillow estimates, and they don't have to come out to my house and actually look at it. No. I could totally get a home equity loan on it.
They don't have to, but, you know, usually when prices get and they're estimating that, you know, somebody comes in and says my property is worth blah blah blah, you know, if it's within a reasonable range, yeah. But, you know, when you're talking millions or billions of dollars on a piece of property, you don't think the banks aren't going to go out and take a look at it?
Yeah, that was my thing. I don't understand why he's being prosecuted for this, because I don't think any of the banks popped up and said, hey, we lost money on this. The tax base, he didn't, you know, he was paying the taxes on the whatever he valued it at. And he didn't default on any of those loans. So what's the big deal?
Yeah, there is
what are they prosecuting him for?
It's simple. You got some dumbass prosecutors, and that wench in Georgia, the one in D.C., is one of many that I've seen here in the last several years. They're just dumb. And, you know, Trump's bills had disclaimers in them where anybody that was, here we go again, if you were getting engaged with the contract, you got to read the fine print. Well, he done nothing wrong. It's just a bunch of bullcrap. That's all it is. And this is where I say that these judges need to be removed. They are performing bad behavior. Remove them.
Yes.
There should be a movement to remove them.
Right. Very hard to remove a judge. Very hard.
Well, not if you go in there with enough people on a rail and a bucket of tar and feathers and run them out on a rail.
At least if you show an inkling toward removing one, then the rest of them should get the message. There needs to be constitutional amendments which be more explicit on removing a federal judge.
Well, you know, somewhere, well, any judge for that matter, you know, there was some article, I forgot where it was, but this village, this judge in this village let this pedophile go, and a bunch of the village people got together, grabbed him, and put a rubber tar, you know, car tar, over his head, and filled it full of gasoline, and lit it up right there in town square. Yeah.
Was it a judge? Wow.
It was a judge. Yep. You can probably still look it up. I'd say, hell yeah, bring on the matches, motherfuckers. He let this because that raped this 5-year-old kid or whatever. You know, you just let him go.
Oh yeah.
Nothing to say about that.
What about the guy who did the rape?
Well, I don't know about that, but he let the guy that raped the kid go, and the villager said, "Oh, no, you ain't, Judge. We're gonna get your ass," and they did.
Yeah, but
I thought if it was a federal judge, isn't Robert Skink? Isn't he over all the federal judges in the United States? Can't he do something if they're abusing power?
Should be able to, but look at all of them that get away with all this shit every day. They abuse power every single day, and they're still on the bench.
Well, yeah.
You got one good judge, and that's Clarence Thomas. And they want to get rid of him. You got outsiders trying their best to get him off the bench.
Yeah, they are.
I had a judge tell me that they were allowed to change the statute. That the state legislators entrusted them to rule, against the statute.
A judge can't change no statutes.
No kidding. I'm just saying that's what he said. I got it on recording. I'll dig it up and maybe play it on my show that Tuesday night. I got the whole thing where he talks about it.
Courts
addresses me and everything.
Laws. Courts just compare a law to its constitutionality. That's all they're supposed to do. And really, people don't have to abide by the ruling, because the ruling is not a law. Now, unless you get into some criminality stuff or contempt of court, they can fine you and shit like that, but they can't make law.
What is contempt of court? What is that really?
Contempt of court is when the court tell you not to do something, and you turn around and do it. Like they tell you don't be talking to the news and stuff like that.
Is that my parents? They tell me how to do something. What is this? They can order us around like that.
Well, if you try to speak your piece in court, they can get you for contempt of court. You shut your fucking mouth right now. In other words, open your mouth and I'll get you for contempt of court. You see that all the time. You can't even tell your side of the story if you try to say something against these people. I will hold you to contempt of court. Open your mouth again. See, I've had the fucking cocksuckers do that to me, bastards. Yeah.
Did you see Jack Smith? He put down. He wanted the judge to also gag Donald Trump from saying anything bad about Joe Biden.
Oh God!
That was in the gag. That's what he wanted. Can you freaking believe that? That has nothing to do with the case.
Yeah. These people think they're goddamn God. These people, I call them black-robed, jack-booted thugs because they are. Okay,
that's what they are.
And then they get their jack-booted thugs, the cops, to enforce their tyrannical decisions.
Well, what
really?
You need is to have about 10,000 people with signs saying, "I think Joe Biden is a jack-off on behalf of Donald Trump."
Yeah. It takes numbers. It has to. You try to do that, but you try to do that by, you try to do that by yourself, they'll eat your ass up in a fucking heartbeat. Okay? And we live, but we're free. Remember, we're free. Yeah, sure. You can speak your goddamn piece, in a court case or whatever to try to prove your innocence, And then, no, you can't prove you're innocent. You're guilty until we decide them, Yeah, we're free, all right.
I'm battling the case right now. I'm fighting for my life right now. You sons of bitches.
Yep. Hey, some motherfuckers, let me tell you.
Got it in black and white. Got it in black and white. Got it in writing. And then I got the copy of the law. And they still, I got to fight. It's incredible.
I don't see how this country ever got to this point without a goddamn revolution and taking these motherfuckers out and stringing them up by a goddamn tree. If the founding fathers were here today, you don't think they'd be doing that?
Oh, Lord.
Damn right. 24 hours a day.
It's shooting war.
Well, that last time I went down here to vote in this little cocksucking town next to me, Red Oak, Texas, I'll tell you exactly where it is, on a bond issue because we're in the Red Oak School District. Even though I'm in the county here, we're still in this Red Oak School District.
That's the name of my street.
They wanted to build.
That's the name of my street.
Yeah.
Red Oak.
Yeah, they wanted to build this new school and all this shit. So I go down here to their cathedral city hall down here. That's where they had the election and everything. And I have a driver's license, but it's expired. It's been expired for years. Okay, but I have my little card.
Oh yeah, you can't use it.
Oh man. Well, this is interesting. I went in there and I voted there before, same fucking thing, and I've used the same thing. And they looked at the card and said, "Well, this ain't valid." And I said, "I don't care. I live in this county. Here's my little card that you send, the where you can vote and says what precinct and all that bullshit." Okay, and then this Mexican judge comes over, it's like he's some hot shit, and he looks at it and he said, "I'm voting here whether you like it or not." And I looked him right in the fucking eyes, and I had my fuck Trump cap, my fuck Biden cap on. Okay. And he looked at me kind of strange. I said, "Well, you need to sign this affidavit here saying you're doing all this." And before I could think, I went over there and voted. And before I could think, he took it and put it in his file. And I didn't think about it. It should have been in that machine. So he voted voter fraud right there in front of my goddamn eyes.
Motherfucker.
I didn't think about it. Yeah. He committed voter fraud by that card that machine spits out, and not putting it in that where it counts it. He put it in his little file over there. So that judge committed voter fraud right in front of my goddamn eyes. I didn't even fucking think of it. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
I would have thought about it. World War III. I would have goddamn raised so much goddamn hell. You would have heard it all over this goddamn country, motherfuckers. And this is just on a local level. This is just a bond for school districts.
Yeah, they're doing it at a local level. Imagine what they're doing at the national level.
Yeah.
We just got our new voter ID cards in the mail, and again, we got one for the youngest son, who is now living in Tennessee, no longer in Florida. He's moved to Tennessee. So he's probably registered to vote in like 4 different districts.
Wow.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how many others are like that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. With today's laws and rules and the technology we have, you'd think there could be a nice, clean, easy system.
Yeah,
but they don't want it that way.
He has to register to get a new ID, whether it be the state ID or a driver's license, in all of that time. So wouldn't somebody go, "Oh, maybe he doesn't live there because he doesn't have an ID"?
Well, look, remember back when your parents and my parents were the same way. I asked my dad, did you have a driver's license when you were a teenager or growing up? He said, no. We didn't even know what a goddamn driver's license was back then. Okay. And I said, well, you had the same kind of cars. They went just as fast, almost. Okay. So and I asked him, I said, why do you need a driver's license today? He couldn't answer me. Of course,